Sports Radio 560 WQAM Miami Fort Lauderdale presents The Neil Rogers Show.
Oh my God.
To talk to Neil, call 567-0560 toll free for Dade and Broward or pound 560 on your cell phone. The opinions of Neil, his guests, callers, or anyone else on the show do not necessarily reflect those of WQAM, Beasley Reed Acquisitions, or the Beasley Broadcast Group. Now, Neil Rogers on Sports Radio 560 QAM.
Holy Mackinac! This is Joe Bowen, the voice of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and you're listening to the Hockey Authority, Neil Goff.
The story that rocked Palm Beach in the world.
Uncle Ted, dude, throw on some boxer shorts, let's cruise our bar, and rage with some babes. Excellent.
Power, money, women, and poontang.
Uncle Ted, dude, let's use our infamous last names to impress these babes and do the wild thing at the compound. No way, Bill. Just wait, Ted. Excellent.
They're rich, they're powerful. They like to swim naked. William Kennedy Smith and Ted Kennedy in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Part 2, The Next Genitalia.
Excellent.
Coming soon to a theater near you. Rated X for excellent.
Would you get that Peter Leonard out of here, goddammit? 10:01 at 560 WQAM. Happy Monday. Oh, that's right. I'm not supposed to say happy Monday. Well, I'm in a great mood. I am. George is in a good mood. We're in a good mood. You know what I think it is? I think we're jealous of the British. And I have no idea why. But if they can have all of their morning, why can't we have... I mean, we got Alonzo morning. We got Zoe. And we're supposed to be in morning. And right now, look at this.
Storms are expected, rain and high winds in the area.
They're still looking. John. You know something? Seriously, I don't want to be disrespectful. It's sad when anybody dies, but, what's the big Simmons here, boys and girls? Who the hell was this guy? But like somebody I know said this morning, you know, America is obsessed with the idle rich. They're just, with the glamorous people, the wealthy people, the do-nothing people especially. The less they do and the more idle time they got to, be part of the jet set crowd, the more they are obsessed with them. All day Saturday, all day yesterday, and again today. The networks are hyperventilating. They're foaming at the mouth. And, of course, the 24-hour news channels who just live for this, who just can't get enough of this, are salivating. They're moist, each and every one of them. Because John Kennedy Jr. is, do I dare say it, dead. There, I said it. And his bride and her sister. The three of them, they're dead. I mean, yeah, sure, there's been just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy in this family. It just never ends, but just stop and think about all the other people, important people who've died, and just this year alone. I wish we had a list, starting with Stanley Kubrick, who was very recent.
Let's start making one.
Yeah, let's start making a list. All the people who died just this year or the last couple of years who are a hell of a lot more significant in our lives than John Kennedy Jr., who never did anything. The most famous thing he ever did in his life, besides posing naked in a shameless act of desperation for the cover of his Horseball magazine, the most important thing he did was when he was 3 years old, that very carefully orchestrated salute at the casket at the funeral of his father. For your father, for your father. That's what that salute was. And that was it. He was 3 years old. But when you're born into a wealthy family and when, you got all this hype going on around you, it's supposed to be important because he died. Do I think it was important?
No.
Not even significant. Worth a mention, worth breaking in. Here's a bulletin. The plane has disappeared. And then like an update, they haven't found him. They're presumed dead and lost at sea. And that's it, like anybody else. They called in the Pentagon. They called in everybody and their brother-in-law. And now we got to put up with these boring people again from the National Transportation Safety Board that, oh, my God, the ones that lied to us when the 747 went down, those people. How long do you think before we'll get the FBI guy in there, too? Maybe there was sabotage. You people in the media, man, you need mental help. Now, maybe it's only me and George. Maybe we're a couple of hard-bitten bastards. Maybe everybody else in America as they usually do, because they usually, do things in lockstep. They goose step along the way they're supposed to be. Maybe they're all really just crestfallen today. Now, maybe it's only me. Let me say it again. He didn't look like, in this business about the sexiest man in the world and the best, I mean, in a very boring way, you could say he was a good-looking guy. Okay? In a boring way, in kind of a wooden way. He had a personality that was maybe about a half a step above Al Gore. No, seriously, a half a step above Al Gore. A little bit better. Not much. He didn't look like a Kennedy. He didn't speak like a Kennedy. He flunked his bar exam twice. And then, I guess because he had too much time on his hands, and being assistant U.S. attorney in New York City wasn't really much of a big deal, and was just a bone they threw him anyway, so he decided to start a magazine. A so-called how are they called? A political glamour magazine. Kind of like Playboy magazine without the naked pictures, except when he was on the cover with his knees together. That was as close as they got. And that was it. This man, 38 years old, a very young age to die, of course, contributed absolutely nothing to American society, to our lives. I mean, there are a lot of the other Kennedys, Joe got in there, Joe Jr., till his wife wrote the tell-all book, and he had to, go disappear in the middle of the night. Oh, I don't think I'm going to run for governor after all, even in Massachusetts. And here he is again. Look at this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, I don't get it. What is the obsession? And I liked the Kennedys. I liked JFK. I liked Bobby Kennedy. I love Ted Kennedy, even though he's fat and old, okay? He's the one great hope, the one last hope for us dying breed of liberals left in the world today is Ted Kennedy. And ironically, this happened one day before the 30th anniversary of Chappaquiddick. As if that has anything to do with anything. So, yeah, and then Hugh Sidey gets on there over the weekend. All these experts, they're bringing out they're dusting these people. They're taking them out of the mothballs like Hugh Sidey. Haven't seen him in 20 years since he used to be on there with Agronsky. By the way, is he dead or alive? Martin Agronsky, quick, come on. Remember Martin Agronsky? You don't remember Martin Agronsky? What kind of person are you that didn't wake up on a Sunday morning and even when you didn't want to see all those stupid news shows, Agronsky and Company was on Channel 10? Forever.
Wake up early on a Sunday morning?
No, well, not real early, 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Oh, that's early on a Sunday.
Oh, like I said, piece of crap. Don't know Martin Agronsky. I thought you were supposed to be the one who was so informative. Yeah.
That's what that guy said.
This is informative George. You don't even know who Martin Agronsky. So anyway, Hugh Sidey is on there saying, well, there was no such thing as a Kennedy curse, and this is just, they're all coincidences. I mean, over a period of 55 years, I got news for you. There's an awful lot of coincidences in there from going back to PT 109 and the brother before that got killed. And I mean, just never stopped. And then, of course, the daughter that they locked away and did the shock treatments and all this stuff. I mean, if you really want to get brutal about the Kennedys, now what was it? Was it on A&E or Discovery that they had the thing?
I think the
Discovery Channel. And they dusted off the old story of the Kennedys, starting with Joe, who was a real piece of crap, a real son of a bitch, a crook, a bootlegger, a never met a Nazi he didn't like, just a miserable, mean-spirited, whoremongering piece of turd, the old man. And yet somehow America, and they're always using this term about this is as close as we come to royalty in America, the Kennedys. Well, guess what? We don't want royalty in America, do we? No, we don't want no royalty in America, goddammit. What the hell do we need royalty for? Let the silly British, let Austin Powers and the silly British people, and he ain't even British, let them have that crap with the king and the queen and the prince and the princess and all the phony marriages because it don't look too good that Prince Edward's 120 years old and ain't married yet. Let them have all that silly crap, and we can laugh at them. But you see the parallel between this and Princess Diana. I mean, this is almost exactly the same, isn't it? And you just know there's going to be this tear. And look at that. Here we go again. This Coast Guard guy.
Spent some very painful moments.
Yeah, I've had painful moments every time I've been near a TV set for the last 70 hours now. It's been painful.
That ocean sure is blue.
Yeah, the ocean is blue, and the sky is blue, and somebody is blue. When Sonny gets blue, man, what is wrong with these people in this country, huh? Glamour and glitz and bull crap and contributed nothing. Zero. When Adlai Stevenson died, was there a big song to dance like this? I mean, here's a man, he was an egghead, he was a genius, he was an intellectual. Oh, you're not supposed to say that. He looked like crap, and he had the hole in the sole of his shoe, and he ran for president, and that was like the nail in the coffin. Plus, of course, he was divorced, and the Catholics didn't like that. And he was running against the war hero, a semi-illiterate war hero. Oh, Eisenhower was something else. He had a lot of interest. He was always interested in what was going on. Anyway, 10 past 10 at 560 WQAM. Do I care about this? No, because I'm feeling great today, goddammit. I feel born again. Don't ask me why, because I won't tell you anyway.
The sky is falling.
I'm just a very horny Kennedy guy. If I have trouble scoring, I just unzip my fly. I'm a very horny Kennedy guy.
Yes.
We live extraordinary, privileged life. We spoil our kids and cheat on our wives. We all went drinking at a cocktail bar. Met a few girls, Ted drove them home in the car. We're just very horny Kennedy guys. Very horny Kennedy guys. One tried to get away, I chased her to the yard. She used some jujitsu, it made me so hard. Uncle Ted stood there with his pants down. We're outside the law, inside the compound. We're just very horny Kennedy guys. We're just very horny Kennedy guys.
Oh, I'll tell you somebody that died since I've been back on the air who was much more meaningful than was Gil Hartman. Huh? Now, there was a talented guy. Gave people a lot of laughs. Tremendous talent. Hysterical.
Nice guy.
Good guy. Everybody liked him. Never stole a freight train. Wasn't born with a silver spoon in his
rectum.
You know? Although I think his wife had a little silver spoon, but, you know, it'll get to you every time, that white powder. But there you go. There's one without even thinking hard. Did they make I mean, there was, you know, some stuff on TV. They had a little bit of coverage. A few minutes here, a couple of minutes there, and then look in a schmear, and that was it. Did they go into a big song and a dance about it?
No.
No. As a matter of fact, even John Bonet is getting more coverage today. How many years has she been in the ground now? 2, 3, whatever it's been? She's still getting more coverage than frickin' Phil Hartman. This Kennedy thing, I mean, the whole American, this sickness, this obsession with people who are nothing, with people who are supposed to be one thing and are totally unlike what they're supposed to be. It's all bullcrap. It's all image. Because we're obsessed with the glamour crowd, with the jet setters. How about when River Penis died? Huh? There were like 2 seconds on that. He was in a couple of good movies. Even Stand By Me was good. Huh? What? You didn't like Stand By Me?
No, it was all right.
I like the song.
I'm trying to think of any other ones.
It was an excuse to bring the record back. Benny King liked it. Is Benny King still alive? I think he died.
No.
Since the movie came out, he's dead.
Nobody told me.
I think he and Martin Agronsky are both dead. Here's Sunrise. Hello. Oh, and guess what? You didn't reset the phone. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't reset the phone. See, you're assuming. Wait a minute. Hold on, please. It's WQAM, our own special way. I'm starting off the week. A bunch of equipment that's a pile of crap and doesn't work, okay? So now we got to start all over again. I had almost a whole board of calls on there, and it won't go on the air because this is a horseball place. 567-0560, pound 560 on a mobile one line. Why do we have to start, on a Monday no less, huh? Why do we have to keep starting like this over and over again? Are they ever going to,
No.
No. fact, the word is that last week, toward the end of the week, the cable went out there in the sports room in there, and then I find out this morning, Donnie B was saying they were trying to get a hold of their guests, making long-distance calls out, couldn't do that either. Just maybe they're not paying the bills around here. How do you like that, huh?
Uh-huh.
567-0560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Here's Dave the Cop. I got to start with Dave the Cop.
How you doing, Neil?
Oh, Jesus.
No St. Louis nonsense. This thing with the Kennedys. I'll tell you, if following Joe Kennedy, all this so-called curse started after World War II or right around it. This idiot Joe gave more money to Hitler than any American millionaire or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was ambassador to England, and I think Roosevelt pulled his ass back.
Right, that's right.
He was pro-German in England, and
mm-hmm.
that didn't make much sense.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate thing with John. It seemed like they tried keeping him out of the light, and I had a lot of respect for him when he blasted his rapist, not the cousin, but the one that
William
played
Kennedy
football.
Smith, yeah.
No, the other one, the one that decided to take on a tree head on and lost.
Oh, Michael, yeah.
Yeah, and he blasted them in his magazine, and he caught a lot of slack from the family.
Oh, that was the one that was diddling the minor.
That's correct.
The little girl, yeah.
And, so it's unfortunate, but you know how you had Rick squatting over the Hyannisport map yesterday? He's all over the place.
So hard to keep track of all these dirtbags. Like David Kennedy was the one that died of a drug overdose.
And, the thing with him was the day that Robert Kennedy got assassinated, that morning he was down at the beach in California, and David was drowning. He swims out and saves his life, and he gets assassinated that night. There's a lot of amazing things with that whole family.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking on politics, if you really want to have an eye-opener getting off from the Kennedys, read Rolling Stone this week because they go into a real in-depth thing on George W. Bush, the guy who everybody thinks is going to be the next president.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. This guy had deferments to go to to stay out of the draft, and when he graduated Yale in '68, he bypassed 100,000 people on a waiting list to number one to get into the National Guard in Texas.
Yeah.
And
but nobody cares about that.
Well, they should care because
but they don't. They don't care. His name is Bush. That's why his brother was elected governor here in Florida. That's why he was elected in Texas in the first place. His name is Bush. Rockefeller, Kennedy, Bush. It's getting to the point where we're going to have about 4 or 5 families, and they're going to hold all the public offices in the country, and everybody else can just go whistle Dixie.
The veterans group in a '94 debate with the governor of Texas blasted him because he said, "Hey, I could have gotten killed if my engine would have stalled out over the deserts of Texas." Yeah, instead of going to Nam. And when they asked him about, you got to read this article because I'm not BSing you. And when they asked him about
but I
drugs,
can't buy that magazine. It's got Ricky Martin's picture on the cover.
Right.
I won't get near it. I won't touch it.
He don't look too hot either.
Oh, thank God.
They asked him about drugs, and if you think Clinton's answer was nutty with the marijuana, quote, he says, "Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. What difference does it make now?"
Well, that's Ricky's answer to anything. Oh, you're talking about George Bush.
I'm talking about Mr. W.
Yeah, I know.
This is the future of the country.
Okay, well, let's
wake
calm
up.
down, take 2, and call us in the morning.
Take 2 what?
See ya.
Bye.
567-0560. Let's hear all those Kennedy lovers. Let's hear all those people out there that think that this is a disgrace today that we're not sitting here participating in America's sorrow and America's mourning. I feel great today, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm all depressed just to make somebody happy, okay? I feel fantastic. Lost a couple of pounds. I feel like a human being again, goddammit. Of course, now George is back on his eating binge. Just when I was thinking over the weekend, well, he don't want to eat anymore anyway, so we don't have to keep bringing all this parade of food in the studio every day. Now he tells me over the weekend he more than made up for it. Pigging out big time. Nice going. 567-0560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Here's Sunrise. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm thanking you for telling it like it is.
Yeah.
All weekend I'm arguing with people about this. This guy was so insignificant. I mean, he was a sometime celebrity.
He wasn't even a blip on the ass of the human race.
Nothing. He was a businessman, if you could believe he actually edited a magazine.
Yeah, right.
Like, he did the work.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, all his associates spent all weekend long telling us how he was a very hands-on guy, and he even edited the smallest of articles, and he was, like, really involved, et cetera, and so on.
I like when they said he goes in his neighborhood, he could buy, he's like a regular guy, he goes and buys dinner for $300.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do that all the time.
Yeah.
But people who are 65 and older who are so enamored with his father think that this man held anything for anybody. They're just so they're wrong.
But you notice, though, all weekend long, for all the hours and hours, the countless tributes that have been going on, they don't tell you anything that he did because he never did anything.
He didn't do anything. Thanks for telling it like it is.
Okay, see you.
Bye.
I mean, yeah, he died when he was 38, but it seems to me that his father was elected president. He was 43 and was in the Senate before that and in the Congress before that. Never did anything of note. And yet we've had 65,000 freaking hours if you put all the networks together and all the goddamn news channels together. It's just unbelievable how they try to orchestrate and manipulate public opinion. I've been telling you that for a long time. You must feel this way because here's somebody that was very important. No, he wasn't. He wasn't even a pimple on my rectum. Not even a little tiny rugged pimple. Not a blip in the and you look back through history at people like Lindbergh. There was another real virulent anti-Semite Nazi hugging piece of crap, Lucky Lindbergh. That staged, by the way, the kidnapping, and a lot of people believe he's the one that killed the kid in the first place. If you read the book. Oh, great American hero. Why? Because he flew a plane? Oh, I guess because he made it. And the same with Joe Kennedy, and there's so many of these people, the Rockefellers. What was so wonderful about all these people?
They were rich.
They were rich and they were bastards. Henry Ford, there's another one. Yeah, another piece of crap. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Neil, God.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I'm a huge fan. Hey, but that's genetics. I like you too. I'm so glad you're telling it like it is. I couldn't be more fed up with this Kennedy guy. I mean, William Kennedy Smith, he didn't become a Kennedy until he raped that poor girl down in Palm Beach.
Yeah, he had to do that to become a real Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, he was William Smith until he done that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like you. I'm sitting up there trying to figure out what has JFK Jr. done. He hasn't done anything. Even
he
though
gave the little salute there when he was 3 years old, and then the next 35 years, other than come out with a stupid magazine, he didn't do anything. Nothing.
And the sad part about it, 10 years from now, or 2 elections from now, he probably would have been the president of the United States. Hey, listen, I'm sorry the guy's dead, but life goes on.
Right.
My grandfather died 2 years ago. It wasn't on the news. I guess
and he was
he
probably a better guy than JFK Jr. How do you like that?
Hey, he made us.
Never stole a freight train.
Thanks a lot, Neil.
Okay, pal.
Have a good day.
Come on, let's hear from some of those Kennedy lovers out there who are, because I know you're out there, man. You just don't have, all I'm going to do is hear from a bunch of ass suckers today. Oh, thank you for telling it like it is. Well, I do deserve credit for that because I am telling it exactly the way it is as usual. But I'd like somebody to tell me what this young man did in his life that was so important, that was so lasting. Just like I'd love to hear about his mother, who was nothing but a high-priced hooker. I've told you that many, many times. Marrying it, and it wasn't good enough that she came from the Bouviers, who had more money than God, but she had to marry into the Kennedys, and then after he got bumped off, then she had to go after the really big fish, which was Aristotle Onassis. Now, let's face it, is there enough money in the world to make any woman in this audience touch Aristotle Onassis were he alive today? Jesus, the thought of it. He makes Ron Jeremy look like a Mexican hairless. God.
You're a bastard. Oh my God.
He only was 7 when she augured in. En route to more coverage for CNN. Ignoring the weather and storms to avoid. Her white trash butch mother said she died with joy. Pilot toy. Child pilot. You're too young to fly. You're never gonna see nice. Now the white trash butch mother must live through her son. But he says that flying don't seem as much fun. Still she says you have to do it for me. Now help me set up my new widescreen TV. Child pilot. You're too young to fly. You're never gonna see night.
I was in Toronto over the weekend. They were talking about the fact that he was flew to North Toronto Airport like last Tuesday, just a couple of days before this happened, and that he took along another pilot with him because he was on crutches. He had just had that accident. He was hobbling around on crutches. Here's a lesson for all you kids out there. If somebody says, come fly with me in my little private plane, just say,
no.
Okay? Like Nancy Reagan would say, just say
no.
to private planes, to puddle jumpers, just say,
no.
Look at all the people that have died in small private planes. All these arrogant people that think that they're, hot shots. And how many hours had he had in training flying that plane, that new plane that he had? 0. The big, oh! And they keep reporting. It's like 1 minute they're telling you there were no rafts on, no life vest, no raft, no nothing on a plane. And of course, when a plane hits the water, it's like hitting cement, especially at an angle. It's like hitting a brick wall. See, most people think, well, the water is like soft. It's not false. When you're taking a dive from 1,500 feet up in the air, it's just like hitting the goddamn Empire State Building. It's like hitting cement. And then they find a seat floating in the water. They find her piece of luggage or suitcase with a name on it and a prescription drug bottle with the name on it. And, miracles. What are these people talking about? Of course, I guess if they would have just said right off the bat that they're presumed lost and dead at sea, that would have taken away at least 50 hours from the cupboards they could milk it from, See, one thing I want you to keep in mind, the media don't even consider there's any sincerity there, okay? Even though they come on and they brought in Bob Waugh, they brought all the heavy hitters in there, Dan Rather and Brokaw and Peter Jennings, they dragged them out of bed, brought them all in for the weekend. And they give you that phony, syrupy, pseudo-sincere thing. They don't give a crap about any of this. All they care about is how much they can hyperventilate, how much of a show they can put on, and how much money they can make out of somebody else's misery and suffering. That's what the news media is all about. Make no mistake about that. So if you're buying into any of this crap, man, and the thing with that child pilot thing, I remember we were back on IOD, we were at Paxton. I remember talking about the fact that I saw the story in the morning on CNN about that 8-year-old girl, and they put her up there in the wind and the rain in Wisconsin, wherever the hell, wasn't it Wisconsin? And it's the storm because, they had to get to their next publicity, their photo opportunity. And I said, as soon as I saw it, I said, she's going to die. She's going to be dead. And that very day comes the news, guess what? Bada bing, she's dead. I don't know about you, but when you get on a commercial aircraft and you pay through the nose like I do all the time to get on a plane, you don't want to look up in the cockpit and see an 8-year-old girl sitting up there. Oh, guess what? It's Susie's first flight today, but stay calm, everybody. She's real good. Or you don't want to see John up there in the, limping around on crutches. Hey, have no fear, everybody. I come from a very, very exclusive family. It'll be just fine. And we're real good Catholics, too, okay? If something wrong, I'll start rubbing my crucifix a little bit. Here's West Palm Beach. Hello.
Hey, Neil. How you doing?
Okay, sir.
I have one question. How much money is this going to cost us out of our Social Security? How many millions for all the airplanes, the C-130s, and the... how much is it? Millions?
Only $50.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
sure,
about it.
millions.
Millions just to look for them.
Yeah.
Send a boat out, look around, and,
Send out one of those little boats like the Cubans use when they smuggle the Cubans in. Send out one of those little rowboats, take a look around, and let's get on with life.
A little raft.
There you go.
See ya.
How about George Raft, by the way? Speaking of a little raft, he sure made better movies than John. John Denver. I hated John Denver, but you know something? There were actually people that liked his records. Now, didn't he die in a plane crash? Private plane?
Experimental plane.
Experimental private plane. Dead. Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, Richie Valens, dead. Rick Nelson, dead. Amelia Earhart, dead. And she was a pilot. Still dead. Here's a mobile in Aventura. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to know, with this great Kennedy clan and everything, how come Caroline wasn't invited to the wedding?
Because they don't speak to each other. Or I guess they won't anymore.
You mean the first cousin?
Right.
The youngest daughter did not invite her cousin to the wedding?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
A little rift.
Unbelievable.
They needed a little raft, but instead they had a little rift. There you go, pal. Well, it happens in the best of families and in the worst of families. It's a dysfunctional family, in case you haven't noticed. 567-0560, pound 560 on a mobile one line. All you people in the media, let me tell you right now, okay, all you assholes out there that think that you're going to whip the American public into a frenzy and make them care about something that's not very important, it isn't working. Not with this audience, because they're all calling to suck my ass. No, I don't think most people do buy into this any more than that Diana bull crap. Now, the British, of course, they got sucked into that because they can't help themselves. They're emotionally constipated, like I've told you for 100 years. They have arrested development, the Brits. And so that's all they know is the royal family this and the royal family that, and the queen is a disgusting old bitch, and the queen mother is a disgusting old drunk that owes $30 million to the government but don't want to talk about it. Yeah, there was an article about that in the Daily Mail when we were leaving England a couple of weekends ago. About the Queen Mother. She owes, like, I forget how many. I think it was 30 million, equivalent to 30 million U.S. She doesn't want to discuss it. The old fact. She's 96 years old. She, sits up there boozing it up all day. She doesn't want to discuss her financial problems. And they say, okay, Queen Mum. We'll just remain mum on the subject. 22 before 11 at 560 WQAM. We're in mourning here today, aren't we?
No.
Are we in mourning here at QAM? Let's declare this an official day of mourning here on 560. Let's dispense with David Cohn's perfect game. Let's dispense with that stupid goddamn golf tournament the guy blew a 3-shot lead. Let's forget about all that unimportant stuff. Let's get immersed into the important stuff. John. That's the important stuff. What? Huh? 3 years old, 35 years later, other than a magazine, and he was naked on a cover with his knees together. And some of the desperate women with bad eyesight thought he was a real hot hunk. Other than that, did we hear anything from this man? Did he contribute an idea? See, I was saying to George before, and I think I've got this down to a science. If you examine the Kennedy family, there are two distinct genetic pools here. There are the Kennedys who are like, they look and they sound like Bobby and John Sr. and Teddy. They have that sound, and they all talk, the same. Then there are those who evidently have the genes of the retarded sister that was getting all the electroshock therapy that they put away. What was her name? Rosemary or something like that? Rosemary. And they shut her away and try to, cover it up and then give her a lot of electroshock like Jack Nicholson to try to make sure that she didn't make too many sounds other than like that. Kind of like the Helen Keller school of being a Kennedy. And you look at the buck teeth like of Michael Kennedy. And if you look at the Kennedy, I can't keep them straight. I always say they're related to Bobby because he made kids like babies. They reproduce like rabbits. The Kennedy that was going to get married Saturday, she's also got the buck teeth like Michael Kennedy. So obviously that's like from the retarded side. And this one here, he must have been strictly with the Bouvier genes because he didn't look like any of them. He didn't talk like any of them. He didn't really say much of anything. He had a personality like that would be bad to say that. Come on. No, don't say he had a personality of a dead man. That would be bad. Are you saying he's got as much personality today as he did on Friday? Is that what you're saying? Because I'm not going to say that. That would be bad. Damn it, you little spick. That was George said that. I didn't say it. Much ado about nothing, man. But, boy, it sure killed a lot of good time for the media during a hot summer sweltering weekend.
Roger's God.
Goodbye, Gil Hartman. Brinded you in, and you were a real good guy that had so much more to give.
Yes.
But you married a psychotic bitch. Her trigger finger got an itch. But the good news is that she blew herself away, 'cause everybody knows that in L.A. they let murderers walk every day. And now the laughter has died thanks to your psycho bitch wife who had a stupid name like Rin. And news radio was a lame show except that you were there. And some characters from The Simpsons that lost their voice. It's not for that your life would have lasted long, but she left you no choice. Goodbye, Troy McClure, that you may know from such films as I Married an Ex-Murderer, Mom Has a Gun, and Honey, I Just Blew Your Head Off. Now Lionel Hutz can't get Bryn off. She's dead anyway, and Saturday night has fallen further in decay, since that's the reason you left anyway. And it sucks that you died 'cause of your psychotic wife with that stupid name like Bryn. And The Simpsons will never be the same again.
No.
and echoes like your testing preacher boss gone right. It's a good thing she's dead, 'cause now they can't defend that bitch you had for a while.
I don't want to get Roy upset.
Roy!
You know what I think, this whole Kennedy thing, I think O.J. done it. 1047 at 560 WQAM, 5670560. Come on, let's hear. George tells me that we're getting reports that they're putting flowers on the MacArthur Causeway.
The JFK.
The what?
The JFK Causeway.
But isn't it the MacArthur Causeway?
Oh, I forget. Is it both?
What is,
have five names
what
like
is the
everybody else?
JFK Causeway? Here?
Yeah.
They renamed the MacArthur the JFK Causeway? Well, we've got the Venetian Causeway. That's not it. The Julia Tuttle is definitely not it.
Well, then what was that guy talking about? I thought maybe there was a causeway I never heard of.
He said it was the JFK Causeway?
Yeah. Maybe he was talking about up there somewhere.
That's in Washington, isn't it? I would assume. I don't know where that is. Oh, or that's in New York. Is it in New York? I don't know, and I don't care, okay? They're putting flowers, just like they're throwing all the flowers up there in Massachusetts, wherever the hell that is, in Martha's Vineyard, in whatever. There's a lesson for all you kids out there. If somebody tells you to fly to Nantucket, just say...
The JFK Causeway is 79th Street. How could we forget that? We drove to work on it so many...
The JFK Causeway is 79th Street? What a slum that is. 79th Street Causeway is the JFK Causeway, and they're putting flowers on... Oh, probably Bob Green went back down there with Cheryl, and they did that as a joke. Yeah, we saw your thing, by the way, Bob Green, your green letter. I got that, the green sheet. It would be in poor taste to read that today. Funeral for a friend. I would assume, being a good Jewish guy like you, with a little bit of Rahmanis for the poor, desperate people like the Kennedys, I would assume this would have been about that. But is it about that? No, it's about David Ross and about the death of Dolly 103. Goodbye, Dolly, etc. As Clear Channel again butchers another once great radio station, She 103.5, and turns it into Dolly, which dies and now is, according to Bob Green, the Beats of Miami, whatever the hell that means. So there you go. And by the way, I hope you and Peter Leonard have a great life together, Bob. 567-0560, pound 560 on the... What was the other thing he brought in, Peter Leonard? That was supposed to... Oh, that was that copy? Oh, he actually brought us some copy? Now, you know whose account that is, though. It's not his account.
He's just the mule.
He's just a pimp. I don't want to mention that it was Todd Dreck's account, that he don't bring us any copy personal. He don't come anywhere near here, which is fine with us. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello?
Hey, God.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Great.
Hey, you know what was the real bummer this weekend is that my satellite receiver took a dive.
Oh, bad timing.
Actually, it took a dive last week. I'm trying to get it fixed. So I'm back to like 1970 TV. You know, I got 3 stations. And it was
by the way, the good news is my Hitachi, I went home on Friday and got it all adjusted. It's not too bad. It's pretty good.
It was the worst because the only station I really get clearly, unfortunately, is that hysterical Fox station.
Oi!
The spotting station, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm watching TV yesterday, and, you know, the news is all over, and I'm watching whatever they had programming on there, The Simpsons or whatever, and then at 9:30, they got to come on a half hour early for their news, and it's the same thing. Every 5 minutes, it's the same reporter up in Nantucket or whatever, and they don't do anything more than what they said 5 minutes ago. It's just like
like George said, here's the ocean and it's blue, okay?
Right.
Here's the water. Here's where New Jersey is on the map. Here's Martha's Vineyard on the map. Here's a line between the two. Here's where the flight plan was supposed to be, where they were going, although we really don't know because he didn't file a flight plan. And that's it. And it's somewhere. First they said it was a 550 square mile radius, and then all of a sudden you would think that they would start narrowing it down. No, then it became a 1,200 square mile radius.
Right. They went bigger.
Right.
And instead of a smaller concentrated area. Money. But the whole thing is, Neil, it's like it's the same crap every 5 minutes. It's so annoying. It's so you want to reach into the screen and punch them.
And you know something? Even if your dish would have been working and you would have had all the channels coming in, it wouldn't have made any difference because they all had the same crap.
Well,
all the networks, all the news shows.
Well, I'm sure I could have found something. But anyways, in closing, I like to call Junior a douchebag.
Okay. Thanks. And get the honey, Junior. 567-0560, pound 560 on a mobile one line. Are we going to go the whole 4 hours today without hearing somebody with a good word for John? John, what's wrong with you people? Don't you have any heart?
No.
Don't you have any rahmanas?
No.
Don't you have any sympathy?
No.
Any empathy?
No.
This family that's been just through 55 years, over 5 decades of nonstop tragedy and grotesque, horrendous things. Just because the father was a bootlegger and a liar and a Nazi and a piece of turd. Here's Plantation. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
And what a shame that he had that stroke and lived so many of his last years in misery. Yes, sir.
How you doing?
Great.
You know, I've been listening to you for the past half an hour. Why you got to bring, like, Catholic up with this stuff? I mean, this was a good family that did some things.
Yeah.
And you have to bring this up all the time.
How's Mary Jo Kopechne doing, by the way?
Hey, that was a mistake.
No.
That was no big thing.
That was a mistake. When somebody dies,
I
it's
mean,
a mistake.
what's the problem with it, man? I mean, the guy...
What's the problem with what? What about the mafia? What about Joe
Give him a
Bonanno?
break, man. Let him rest in peace.
Yeah.
Let the whole family rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
But you don't have to bring up religion and everything.
I mentioned it in passing, sir, but if you want to make it a
You
big
talk
issue,
about hitting
if
the
you want to make it into a big issue,
1,500
since they were very horny Catholics and they were screwing everything that moved with a skirt on, blow it out your ass, pal. I'm not going to listen. My hysterical, psychotic, very defensive Catholic friend. See, this is one of America's most famous mafia families, was the Kennedys. Now, you won't see any movies, and of course now that... And Mario Puzo, there you go, how stupid I am, just died like 10 days ago. Didn't Mario Puzo give us 1,000,000 times more enjoyment than John? I mean, is there any doubt?
Yeah!
There you go. Godfather 1, 2, and even 3, which we apologize for the bad acting, but nevertheless, Mario Puzo, a great Italian-American and Catholic, who of course had the audacity to expose all that corruption in the Catholic Church, and I wouldn't be talking about any of this right now if it weren't for him inspiring me to do it. But thank you so much, sir. What was the difference between the Kennedys? I mean, they were an Irish Catholic. See, this is one good, get a little of the heat off the Italians for a minute, okay? This was an Irish Catholic mafia family. Here's Miami. Hello. Miami.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hi. I've been wondering, all this time everybody's been talking about JFK dying and JFK this and JFK that. Nobody mentions anything about the two other people that were on the plane.
Right.
And I just don't think it's fair. And
yeah, but they weren't famous. I mean, she was just, the one was his wife, and the other one was much less famous because she was just the wife's sister.
Exactly.
Nobody cares about you unless you're famous.
Exactly. They were just on a plane hitching a ride, and nobody cares about them.
Too bad I don't have that record, right? Hitching a ride, that would be good. Although George was telling me, now I didn't hear this news report, that the wife was the one who insisted that they make the flight, that he didn't want to do it because the other pilot didn't, did you see that report? The other pilot there in Jersey didn't make the flight because it was a very hazy night and said that when you're flying on VFR, it's very easy to get disoriented and the plane can go upside down, et cetera, and so on. But the wife allegedly insisted because he wanted him to take the sister home.
Yeah, I heard that. I don't know, a group of parents just lost 2 daughters, and everybody's talking about the Kennedy's this and the Kennedy's that.
That's right.
I mean, I'll admit it. John, he was a nice guy, but you don't have to.
How do you know he was a nice guy?
Well,
all you know is the public picture that they portray. Just like Diana, she may have been a raving bitch. I don't know, but they portray this picture for public consumption. We didn't know him.
Another thing, Neil, did you hear about that? Another high school that was caught recruiting players and stuff.
No. Okay, great. Well, I didn't see the story, so I'm not going to put the name on here, but nevertheless. Well, maybe they need some new altar boys over there at Columbus High. Oh, see, there he goes again. Well, that one guy inspired me, I'm going to get out my rosary beads and my crucifix and my wafer and my chalice. Oh, yeah. Drink a little out of the goblet. Why the hell not? Just to get that guy all whipped up into a frenzy. Why don't you face it, Pat? You're part of a corrupt goddamn mob. That's what you're part of, all right? Every time somebody dies in a mob, they have a good Catholic funeral for him. Don't they?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. When's that Joseph Bonanno thing on? Is that a network thing with the Martin Borman? What's his name? Martin, you know who I'm talking about, from Mission Impossible. That's playing Joe Bonanno.
Balsam.
Martin Balsam. And his wife's name was, what was her name? From Mission Impossible that they walked out because they didn't get
Barbara,
enough.
no. Was it a Barbara?
No. I don't think so. Martin Balsam and, come on. Now, which was the guy that died from Mission Impossible? The black guy? He was good. What was his name? Oh, see the important people, the people who made a difference in our lives, the people who entertained us, who infuriated us, who amazed us, who made us laugh. We can't remember their names.
Martin Landau and Barbara Bain.
Barbara Bain, there you go. Barbara Bain, thank you so much, whoever called in to tell us, whoever knows something in this audience, which is obviously more than we do. Thank you.
Farley, could you help an old boy? I'm a Catholic.
No.
Goodbye, Chris Farley, you great big fatty, always acting like a great big fat dumb retard in every film you've ever made. Too bad for David Spade, his career could fade 'cause all he has left is that lame-o TV show. He won't be making buddy movies no more. And you wanted to be just like John Belushi and have John Candy's chin.
Yes.
You finally made it, but were not too careful what you wished. You gave us lots of laughter on Saturday night, but you were way too young to die, to commit fat man suicide. Goodbye, Chris Farley, what did you eat to blow up like a big balloon, eating like a fool? That would only bring you certain death. The farmers are upset, and all you left was some cable movies and a few pairs of your pants that will fill to make community pools. And you wanted to be just like John Belushi and have John Candy's chin. You finally made it, but we're not too careful what you wish. Your casket could hold a piano that's 6 feet wide. Oh! Now you've reached the pizza in the sky. You got so fat you died.
Greg Morris, dead. He died a long time ago, didn't he? Did we have a big sickness? Did they stop? Did they stop all the goddamn presses? Did they preempt the goddamn soap operas and every other news show in the history of television when Greg Morris died?
No.
F&A, they didn't, baby. Exactly. How about the muscle building guy? He's dead too, I think, isn't he? From Mission Impossible? You know the one I'm talking about. What the hell's his name? Now we got to look for his name. We can kill a good couple hours doing this. Oh, man. The people who really made a difference, I'm not saying maybe they were like a rocket science, but people who entertained us, people who amused us, people who did something to change, to have an impact on our lives. These people croak every day, and they get a couple of lines in the goddamn obituary column, and maybe a little blip on CNN, and maybe on your local newscast, and that's it. Goodbye, stick their ass in the ground. Next. But because somebody is glamorous and from a very overblown family. And again, keep in mind, I was a big JFK fan. Bobby Kennedy, Ted, I love Ted, okay, even though he's not aging too well, to say the best. But nevertheless, I can only imagine, and of course you do realize that the Kennedys are one of those families that you either love them. There aren't too many indifferent people in that middle group. You either love them or you hate them like poison, like George does. Yes, you do. I like but you hate the Kennedys. Come on, stop the crap. You're missing my point. You can like what you like and hate what you. But my point is this: can you imagine their feeling now? They're going, yeah, like that. That's right. That's what they're doing today. Another one bites the dust. There'll be another song to play that would be in very bad taste. We were going to play that thing by the Dead Kennedys, but it was a terrible song. And then don't do it. It would be in very poor taste. Oh, stop. Here's Miami Beach. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, listen. I just kept thinking about this whole thing because, first of all, he did absolutely nothing. And
absolutely correct. He did absolutely nothing.
And you hit the nail on the head with he's America's Princess Diana.
Mm-hmm.
Because he does absolutely nothing. He couldn't even pass the bar twice.
I mean, at least with Diana, they gave her a couple of phony, the landmine. They gave her a couple of things to go out and diddle around, because they do that with royalty. They give them some issues to run around and make a big timus about, like they're doing something meaningful with their lives.
Right. Well, all he ever did was he was just shown jogging in Central Park.
Right.
And blah blah this.
He was just being a famous Kennedy. That's all he ever was.
Right.
And then when they gave him that big ovation at the Democratic Convention in '88, it had nothing to do with him. It had to do with his father. It had absolutely nothing to do with him. He could have been a statue, and it would have gotten the same ovation.
The thing is that this country is moving more to a caste system,
right?
Where you're just basically just born infamous, and that's basically it. No, the thing is, he was heading towards Ted Kennedy's
Senate seat.
No, not only that, just towards his legacy, because
there are people who say that he would have, done nothing, just run a magazine for a couple of years, and then when Ted had to hang it up, when the fat finally got to him, that he was going to run, and of course would get elected immediately, automatically.
Yeah, well, Ted's never passed a bar in his life either.
That's right.
Okay, Neil, you have a good one.
And say hi to Mary Jo.
Will do.
Okay. 7 minutes after 11, and when Mary Jo Kopechne died, other than, of course, the Kennedy factor that they wanted to nail him to the cross, I mean, a lot of guys get drunk, and they go out there and, they drive off the road and some bitch dies. I mean,
they're swim off and leave them there.
And he went down there diving. Don't you believe that?
No.
He would, divers do it deeper. By the way, the divers are going down this afternoon. Oh, now what's this at the White House?
That they've become.
They're having a party at the White House. This is...
At the team, some of the players you might see there. Carly Silverbeck, she's one of the moms. There's two
They're having a party at the White House. There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
It's the soccer team, isn't it?
It's the women's soccer team. There's a big smile on Bubba's face. He's probably gotten a little bit before it came out. He looks like he just got a little Kennedy head. Yeah. Look at this. They're having the women's dyke ball team there at the White House. They're not going to stop just because we got another dead Kennedy. Okay? Nice going, Bubba. See, that's another thing. This poor guy, I feel so bad for this guy, He's done a pretty damn good job under impossible circumstances. They've been after him since the minute he walked into that goddamn building. And the guy gets a couple of blowjobs, okay, which is nothing. I mean, careless, yeah, and smarmy. But the Kennedys used to, every time Jackie would be like 10 blocks away from there, they had like the bat phone. They'd know the whole clan, the whole Kennedy clan, and all their aides would come rushing in there to the pool. They had naked orgies that went on for hours, for days. As long as that bitch, they could keep her out of there. And it was well known, just like with Roosevelt and all the others, but the difference in those days was the media knew that you just kept your mouth shut. There were certain things you didn't talk about because we weren't into this goddamn totally voyeuristic, sexually neurotic and obsessed society like we are today. So today if the president or a senator or somebody gets blowjobs, it's got to be on the nightly news, and we got to have a whole report on it with with the whole thing. Where did he stick the cigar, et cetera, and so on. You just don't do that. So there's a man who knows how to party. Look at him.
If it reflects the values that we honor most.
There you go. Like I just said. There we are. All right. Good timing, Bubba. Everybody likes a little ass, but most people like a lot of ass. And that's what he says. Those are the values that we reflect the most. Nice going. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Like he said, when he and Vernon Jordan are out there playing golf, they talk about ass, baby. That's what they talk about. Ass.
The media is sick and needs help badly.
Listen to me. This is Stan Beinstein for Sofa King. You understand? Where everything is held to the high Sofa King standards. The selection isn't just huge, it's Sofa King huge. Believe me, you'll never shop anywhere else. And Sofa King's prices aren't just low, they're Sofa King low. You'll never find them anywhere else. Listen to me. When I say Sofa King has a beautiful store, I mean Sofa King beautiful. When I say staff is helpful, I mean Sofa King helpful. Listen to me. Get to know the Sofa King and enjoy a selection that's Sofa King huge, a staff that's Sofa King courteous, and prices that are Sofa King low. You'll never shop anywhere else. But don't take it from me. Take it from satisfied customer Frank N. Stein.
Sofa King good.
You said it, Frankie. Sofa King good.
11:14 at 560 WQAM. They're having a big party up there with the women's soccer dykes at the White House. They just put all this behind them. I mean, what are you going to do? Mourn forever? You go to the country is supposed to be. I mean, the news networks they want us to continue with this for days and weeks on end, like OJ. We can't do that. There's nothing more to say. The bodies they haven't found, they will find them, maybe not. The plane, whatever. That's it. Dead people. That's all. Tragedy. It happens. That's it. And the guy before that was all upset, that good professional Catholic guy, and talking about what a great family this is. Really, if you want to nitpick about that, if you want to go into it about the things that the people in this family have done, okay, not to mention Joe Jr. and how he had to quit politics because his wife wrote that tell-all book, and he decided he don't want to be governor of Massachusetts after all because he was a philandering scumbag. And about, let me see if I can get these straight. Now, Michael was the one that died in a skiing accident who was screwing the underage girl, and David was the one that died from a drug overdose, and William Kennedy Smith is the one that Roy Black got off up there in Palm Beach on the rape charge, and how's Marilyn Monroe doing, et cetera, and so on. I mean, you can go down. Yeah, there were people in this family that did some good things and had very good, lofty goals, et cetera, and so on, like Ted. See, everybody thought just because Ted drove off the bridge, he was going to be the black sheep. He turned out to be the good guy. He's the only one that makes any sense anymore. 56780-560 and pound 5. And then, of course, there was always Peter Lawford. Here's Cutler Ridge. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
You know what's this whole thing with John Kennedy is disgusting, and you're absolutely right. It's just the media taking this whole thing over and sucking up everybody's time on it.
Yeah.
John was fully responsible for what he did there. The idiot killed himself because he was inexperienced,
right,
flying into extremely bad weather conditions, not bad weather conditions, but very poor visibility conditions, and nobody has brought that up. Nobody.
I think we ought to be playing Jimi Hendrix in Purple Haze today in honor of this.
Oh, I agree with you on that. I agree with you.
And by the way, when Jimi Hendrix died, not that I was a big Jimi Hendrix fan, but certainly a lot of people enjoyed his music and thought he was one of the great artists of our time. Did they make us think about this when Jimi Hendrix died?
No, but then again, but he also killed himself too because he drowned in his own puke because he was stoned out of his mind. But I mean, this is ridiculous.
I sure hope Tom Green never does that.
You know, we make a big deal out of somebody's irresponsibility. You know, no, what a tragedy. It's just BS.
It's part of the arrogance.
No, I don't think it's the arrogance.
Sure
I think it's just slow news, and they've got to sell ratings.
I'm talking about the Kennedys. I'm not talking about the media.
Yeah.
Okay, have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Although they said that it was part of the arrogance, and then now that I'm finding out that the wife, the bride, oh yeah, well we got to go ahead and do it because we got to get my sister home. Okay, well guess what? She ain't going to get home. Maybe in a box, but we're none of us going to get home because he listened to her. See, that was the point. He should never have been a pussy and listened to her and let her call the shots. He should have been a little more domineering. I told you he's like a wet sponge. He didn't have that charisma, baby. He didn't have that chutzpah, you know? He was just like, neither fish nor fowl, like tapioca pudding. And that was his downfall in the end. Just say no to some domineering bitch, okay? I guarantee you he had plenty of ass in his life better than her. Guaranteed. Here's South Miami. Hello.
Good morning, Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Great.
Hey, just like to respond to what...
Like I said, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Listen, let Columbus High have a great life, okay? Wish them well, and go find them some altar boys. Here's Hollywood. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm drying out the rug in front of my TV set. It's soaked from all the tears that I saw.
Yeah.
Can you imagine people with no life whatsoever crying their eyes out over someone they never met, that and never will know,
right?
Did nothing for them,
right?
And
or
it's
anybody
so
else.
immaterial in their life, but they consider it a tragedy,
right? Well, that's because the news media is telling them this is the way you're supposed to think. And the public, 95% of them are a bunch of sheep, sir. Whatever the media tells them they're supposed to think, they say, oh yeah, that's right, okay.
I'll cry over the death of my dog, but not over some idiotic rich bastard.
That's absolutely correct. The idle rich.
The idle rich. By the way, if you want to know something about the idle rich, there's a book called Theory of the Leisure Class, Why People Worship the Rich. It's written by a man by the name of Weebrown in 1898.
Yeah.
And it's by the way, it's a classic book of sociology, even though the book is over 100 years old.
Yeah.
It shows how stupid people can be and how they are trained by the media and by society to worship these people like they're kings and queens.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sickness. It's an absolute sickness.
Okay.
Okay, have a nice day.
God bless us.
By the way, I'm going to a champagne party celebrating tonight. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you at the White House. They're having a big party on the White House lawn right now with the WNBA, whatever the hell they are. I mean, the whatever they call that thing, the soccer. What do they call it? Yeah, you would know?
The soccer.
The Dyke League. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Come on, somebody between now and 2 o'clock. We got to have the people who say you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You're always pouring cold water on our party, on our parade. We're having a big party over here. We're mourning.
Peter Lupus, by the way, the Mission Impossible.
Peter Lupus, very good. You don't think he died from lupus, do you? Wouldn't that have been something? But anyway, Peter Lupus. I'm pretty sure he's dead too, and I know Greg Morris is dead. He was great. Barney. Wasn't that his name on the show, Barney? And of course, Peter Graves, he's still doing those. Him and Jack Perkins are still doing those things on A&E, those biographies, which I love that show. And how long, by the way, do you think before they whip up together on biography on A&E? John, huh? I bet you before you can say crap, before you can even take one, they'll have that thing whipped up on there. You can go take that to the bank.
Will that be a half-hour special?
That'll be a 50-hour miniseries. See, that's the thing. I don't understand. What besides the thing where he's saluting the casket, between that and George Magazine, and he's naked on the cover, and the family got bent out of shape about that, which they just showed on here 50 times. Besides that, what is there? Is there anything?
No.
No. And flunking the bar exam twice. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other nice people out there who have flunked the bar exam twice, 3 times, whatever. Okay, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means they're, not so bright. Here's Boca. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the guy's failed at everything he's ever tried. Nobody should really be surprised that he can't fly a plane either. Kind of cold.
Yeah.
It's kind of cold, I know, but, I'm so sick of watching this guy exit, some, trendy restaurant or apartment building and act like, he wants his privacy. Please leave me alone. And meanwhile, he's looking for the nearest camera and mic,
Right, that's right.
I mean,
photo opportunities.
And I've listened to people talk about how, he's so good looking and he's this and he's that.
I never thought so. I thought he was very bland looking. He was like boring, but boring in his speech, in his appearance. Everything about him was boring.
I think what they're saying is he's a Kennedy who isn't like painful to look at.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of those from Bobby's side. I mean, what's with those teeth they have working there?
Well, if they kept their mouth closed, I mean, JFK was a good-looking guy, and so was Bobby if he kept his mouth closed. As soon as they opened their mouth and the Bucky Beaver teeth started sticking out, they had a problem.
It might have been sabotage. It might have been that cousin or whoever he criticized in his George magazine about
there you go.
Screwing the babysitter.
Yeah, except the cousin is already dead, so the cousin, that's the one that got killed in the skiing accident. So
these guys don't.
It's hard to keep track of, isn't it?
They really ought to stay in the house,
Yeah.
I mean, they just
ought to stay in there with a babysitter.
There you go. I mean, they act like they're such accomplished sportsmen.
See, if Peter Lawford was still around to arrange all the social agenda, then they wouldn't have to go out too much. Have a great day, Paul.
All right, man.
I don't hear anybody broken up in this audience. I'm begging. I'm still pleading. Let's hear somebody out there who thinks they were really callous and behaving in an inappropriate way today. Is there such a person in this audience who's got the cojones to tell us that we're all full of crap?
No.
I haven't heard him yet. Somebody who's in tears, somebody who's on the verge of losing it because something so grotesque. Poor John has met his maker. And don't start with those Marvin Maker lines again from Monticello. They have no idea who that is. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. We could compile a very, very ample list of very talented, well-known people, of entertainers, politicians, musicians, all sorts of people who have died just in the last couple of years, who made much greater contributions to our lives and to American society and culture than John ever could have dreamed of doing. And did they make a big song and a dance about that? Did we have like 72 hours of virtual nonstop coverage like the world was coming to an end about that? No, and that's because you people in the media are crazy people and getting crazier by the minute. But we resist. That's the point. We're resisting it. We're not getting sucked into your bullcrap. And there are those of us who aren't going to get all bent out of shape because you tell us we ought to and it's very important. Because guess what? You may think it's important, but it's not. Here's Miami. Hello?
Yeah, good morning, Neil.
Yes, sir. Buenos dias.
Yeah, what's going on? Neil, by the way, are they really still having that celebration at the White House?
It's all over with now. President went inside to get some action.
Come here, let me ask you, what's wrong with the media today? Why don't they start focusing about this whole thing on the real issues? Why don't they focus about the two sisters a little bit more, even though they may not be as famous?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they just figure that this can happen to anybody and be saying that they got over there on that Fox channel, they're showing the damn weatherman who drives airplanes and they're asking him about his opinion. Why don't they stop giving so much attention to these guys when they didn't give us any attention, right?
Exactly.
They didn't give anybody attention. But yeah, we're giving them a damn, what'd you say, 72 hours, 80 hours?
I say shut it off, man. Shut it off and leave it off.
They didn't give us nothing.
Till they stop with this crap, I say shut it off right now.
It's just the fault of all of us because we're even wasting time talking about this. Not that there's anything against the man, But you got to look at other stuff. They're over here talking about the planes and never drive this plane again, and the plane is broken, and this and that, showing all the other stuff, man. It could just happen to anybody. The haze and this, and it was watery, and it was ice and whatever, and all the crap.
Crap is the word, man. You got it.
But no, but they're really just they're still going on with that celebration at the White House, right?
They're having a party. Have a great day. Like I said, having a big party up there.
Oh!
President's great spirit, smiling from ear to ear. I mean, he did his thing, and he talked to Ted a couple of times, and all the people in the family, and they made all the proper inquiries were made. Like Marlon Brando said, I want all inquiries made, and that was it. And now we move on. Even Flip Spiceland on CNN right now, thank God, is doing the regular weather. He's not doing the Nantucket weather or the Martha's Vineyard. Now, what are you laughing about? That's what they've been doing all weekend long. Every time they do a weathercast, like what difference does it make what the weather's going to be now? They're dead. Oh, but we have to see what's going on with the search, what was the search and rescue operation, and is now only the search operation. Because rescue, I guess, at this point, is a little bit out of the question. And, of course, you notice how they had a tiptoe all weekend long, every one of these shows, Tim Russert, all these other assholes. Well, we don't want to talk about them in the past tense because there's still always that chance. God, always that chance of what? That he's going to float up on shore and just jump right up and say, hey, guess what? I'm still alive! Hey, and break out into a song and a dance routine. I don't think so. Not in the real world. Not last time I checked, okay? It doesn't work that way, boys and girls. I know some of you have dropped a lot of acid there at the networks, and I can understand all that heavy competition. But, I mean, let's get serious. The public are laughing at you. We're sitting back and we're laughing. We don't know whether to laugh or cry because you give the appearance of being serious. Oh, the search continues. I can just see 6 weeks from now. The frickin' search continues. Because it's the middle of the summer and there's not squat going on. We don't have any war in Kosovo anymore. There's nothing going on. But ordinary, decent people in this country are dying every goddamn day. Does anybody care about that?
No.
They get any coverage on there more than 2 seconds?
No.
I'll tell you, the way they're covering this makes that tragedy at Littleton, Colorado, all those school kids, that pale into insignificance. You would have thought that was nothing compared to this. And they were just kids that wanted to go to school one day.
Goodbye, old Iku. Rhymes with Pitsunet. You fell off your exercise bike and then you died and lied around for most of the day.
Oh,
what the hell else can you say?
Good point. See, there's another example. Governor Hikun. He died here not that many months ago. Anybody make a big timus about that?
No.
The governor of this state, like him or not like him, I mean, basically his personality was kind of like, yeah, good old bumpkin boy, but never stole a freight train. Lost $12 gambling when he was a little boy, and therefore gambling was evil, and we have to pay for his stupidity. But nevertheless, sure better than what we got in there now, by a long shot. Never read Mein Kampf. But at any rate, the governor of the state dies. Was there any big, even on the local channels, was there a big song and dance about that comparable to what we're getting now?
No.
No. Putting flowers on the 79th Street Causeway. You know something? They should have put flowers on that causeway a long time ago. Not for JFK Jr., but for the goddamn area. For poor Sonny in the market. That's what they should have done.
Uh-huh.
Put flowers on that thing. And, of course, for WIC as well. Here's a mobile in Key Largo. Hello. Boy, that button on 6 is having real... Mobile in Key Largo. Hello.
Yeah, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I add a little thing to this deal about the appearance of JFK Jr. It's something that I've always contended as to why he doesn't look like the rest of them.
Yeah.
I think Aristotle Onassis is his father.
Think so?
I think that
he's got that kind of Greek. He had that Greek look to him. Now that you mention it, you know.
If you look at the picture of Onassis and you look at Kennedy Jr., he doesn't look a bit like anybody else in the family, and he looks very much like Aristotle Onassis.
Yeah.
And that's my take on it.
Of course, he was born in 1960. Well, that's right. She could have been screwing Onassis back in 60.
They had been friends. They had been friends for years and years before.
You know something? I think you finally hit on it, pal. I think you got it.
Well, appreciate your show. Love you to death, buddy.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm serious. I think this guy's got it. He don't look like any of the other Kennedys. The other Kennedys, I mean, you look a little like Muley, you know, like Mr. Ed. They have that the Bucky Beaver with the teeth. Nothing. He didn't sound like them. He didn't look like them. I wouldn't be surprised if they, of course they'll cover it up like the Kennedys are famous for doing. Just like Bobby Kennedy dropped the original casket from his brother. Did you remember that a couple of months ago? Isn't it interesting how as years go by, we find out how much our government lies to us? And we find out that Bobby Kennedy ordered that casket dropped with the president's brain and with all the other stuff in it. And now we find out that they had a good luck and goodbye for the astronauts up on the moon. William Safire was on there again yesterday, and they actually showed the script of what he had written out for Nixon to read about, well, unfortunately, the shuttle, they're stuck up there on the moon and good luck, and we're cutting off communications and saying goodbye, and they're either going to commit suicide or starve to death on the moon. Because if the module wouldn't have operated, wouldn't have functioned, and brought them back to Earth, they would have been dead, and we were prepared for that. Of course, did we tell them that?
No.
Of course not. 17 years later, they're finally telling us, well, we didn't really expect them to come back. Fine, yeah. Too bad they didn't tell that to the astronauts going up on the Challenger, huh? Oh! 5, 6, oh yeah, that was the one with the school teacher. That's what Reagan said that day. I guess his Alzheimer's must have said in about 1950? If somebody would have just set that GE light bulb off over his head and see whether he recognized it or not, maybe it might have helped us. We're still waiting for it to trickle down, by the way. Here is Kendall. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Neil, you're wonderful. And
I understand Ronnie had an embarrassing VM at their compound out in California over the weekend. Nancy said, oh, that trickle down, it's still working. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
I am. I was just going off,
I just tuned in, and you are, as usual, right on it.
Yes, I am.
And has anyone pointed out the fact yet that he was headed for Gay Head when he went down?
Gay Head, that's right. It may have been an act of God now that you mention it.
Yeah. He was headed right for Gay Head, and then he went down, and that's
I saw that on the map, which they only showed us 50,000 times, Gay Head.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought, well, finally something I can relate to.
And I want to tell you that George is a wonderful replacement for you when you're gone.
He's
and I think
genius.
he should take over your show when you leave.
He's going to in about a week. Have a great day, pal.
Thank you.
Okay. Hey, listen, I'm no fool, baby. I had enough of this crap. I'm going to go talk to intelligent people somewhere. Can I find them?
No.
567-0560, #5. I mean, if we had an intelligent, intellectual audience here, they would be saying brilliant things about the great accomplishments of John, which are, what are they?
I heard he could make a mean cheese omelet.
Yeah, I don't think so. I doubt it. Rich people don't cook. 567-0560, #560 on the AT&T wire. And look at, by the way, speaking of royalty, at real British royalty, look at every goddamn marriage over there has ended in divorce, huh? Oh! How do you like that? Every single one of the marriages over there in the royal family have ended in divorce in this House of Windsor. These Germans masquerading as Brits. What a bunch of crap. And that constipated old Queen Mum, like I said, she's $30 million overdrawn on her account, but you don't want to talk about it. Yeah, that's great. Try it yourselves on your Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. Try running up $30 million. And then when they call you and they start sending the attorney's letters, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Click. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Just her booze bill alone is probably that much. Yes, sir.
I'll tell you one of the JFK's great accomplishments.
Yes.
They interviewed a woman last night that went to college with him.
Yes.
John, and her, John, and 3 others shared a college off the campus.
Yeah.
And each week they had a certain thing to do, like cleaning one week, cooking one week.
Oh, maybe he did cook, yeah.
And so it came his time to clean, and he told her that he didn't know how to clean the toilet. So she showed him. And he thanked her very much because he never cleaned a toilet before, and he'll probably never do it again when he leaves college, but he really appreciated her showing him. And she thought that was marvelous.
Terrific.
He really appreciated
that.
The show.
That moves me almost as much as the picture that Jason brought in here on Friday of that of one of his turds in the toilet bowl.
Yeah, that moved me so much. I had to go in and throw up in my toilet and clean it.
Okay, thank you for the good news. And as a matter of fact, it's a good. I'm not sure if Jason took that picture with a Polaroid. It might have been a brownie. 567-0560, #560 on the AT&T, whatever line it is this hour. Boy, am I full of it today or what? Yeah, I'm all revved up. I got a whole new life going now, baby. I feel like I've been reborn. Don't ask me why. I'm not telling you. Oh, my gosh. It's just astonishing that they're just, it's like the election thing coming up a week from this Thursday, by the way. Another 10 days away. That's right. Today's the 19th. 10 days, 29th, when the public is just going to say, no! What is it?
No.
Thank you. For all this corruption here in Miami-Dade County. To our corrupt mayor who belongs behind bars. Trying to pull the woolly over your eyes. By the way, speaking of Jason Woolley, Gord Murphy was at the airport in Toronto last night. Didn't get a chance to talk to him. But one of my listeners, who also is an attorney that did the closing on my mother's condo. Remember I bought my mother's condo? In case Mom is listening right now. Nice Jewish boy. He came over. He was a good guy. And anyway, says, oh, there's Gord Murphy over there. He's on our way to Atlanta. He and his family are on their way to Atlanta to buy a house because, of course, he was traded to the Atlanta Thrashers for Trevor Kidd. And I said, well, what did Gord Murphy think about Brian Murray? He said, he's an asshole. And what about Terry Murray? He's an asshole. Thank you.
Packwood can't keep his pecker in his pants.
And now, Language Lab, the show that teaches you a foreign language in less than 60 seconds. Today's lesson, Greek. Lesson 1, strawberry pie.
Strawberry pie.
Lesson 2, apple pie.
Apple pie.
Lesson 3, pumpkin pie.
Punky pie.
Customer, what kind of pie do you have? Answer.
Apple pie, strawberry, and punky.
Language Lab is a public service and may not be copied or authorized for resale. Thank you.
16 till noon at 560 WQAM. We got Hank at Chulos today, 2 to 6. We got Donnie B talking a little baseball, 6 o'clock. 6:30, we got the Marlins at the Red Sox, 7 o'clock game time, 7:05 from Fenway. Any interest in that?
No.
After they blew a 21 lead yesterday. Here's Barbara Kellerman, let's see, divers to search for the wreckage of John F. Kennedy Jr.'s plane. Here's Barbara Kellerman, who's a first family historian.
Was Mrs. Kennedy Onassis running a pretty tight ship with those kids?
Whatever that means. Yeah, I think that guy was right. Greek. Now don't turn it into a sexual thing, okay?
Rectum.
Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
The world's sexiest mermaid. Go OJ.
Okay, thanks,
Roy.
Doing a voice of a white guy. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. I think OJ done it. Here's Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I was watching TV yesterday, and all they're showing the stuff on JFK,
Mm-hmm.
So I got tired of it, so I was watching A&E, and they showed a biography on JFK Jr.
On Junior?
Yeah.
They already got one?
Yep.
Oh,
my. All day, and they showed JFK. He talks kind of like Mayor Quimby from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah. It was
Get the honey, Junior.
Yeah,
They sure don't waste any time.
Yeah, really.
Haven't even found a body yet, and they're already doing it.
Did they find a body yet?
No, not yet.
Really?
They're working on it feverishly, though.
Yeah, really. I forgot what I was going to say, damn it.
Well, have a great day. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. They've already got the thing. Oh, here's Wendy Lee, author of Prince Charming.
Chivalrous towards women. There's a story that one day when he was going home from school with his mother through Central Park, a group of rowdy kids, cruel kids, ran after them both and started shouting, "Your father's dead, your father's dead." And John, instead of reacting for himself, protected his mother. He held her hand more tightly and stroked it so that she would feel all right.
Yeah, he stroked it all right. 5670560, pound 560 on it. Isn't this something we have to have all these little stories now? We have to have all these little personal interviews and memories and all these little vignettes of crap is what we got. Little drops of turd on our brain, as if, and of course that's what you have to do when there's no meat there, That's what we need. What the hell was her name? Where's the meat lady? Where's the beef? That's what we need. Clara Peller. Where's the goddamn beef? And they don't have any, so that's why we have to keep hearing all these little cute anecdotes as if there was really something there. He squeezed his mother's hand tight. Well, isn't that great? High-priced hooker bitch. Here's Orlando. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Wouldn't it be something if it was found out that Sabertech put some oxygen canisters on that plane?
Wouldn't that be something, huh?
I tell you what.
Talk about the frosting on the cake.
And there's something else. He was last seen at the, what you may not know about it, but up here there's a notorious gay bar called the Parliament House.
Yeah.
And he
I know the Parliament House, of course. You think there's a gay bar in the world that I don't know about?
Well, Neil, I don't want to insinuate anything, but anyhow, he was last seen there in drag with Madonna. So I figure that's worth a couple of minutes on the TV. They're not going to bring anything like that out. Actually, it's real slow. I can't believe they didn't bring out there was 2 boatloads of Cubans hit the beach again. I figured that would be a big news. They'd be rioting in Miami.
Now we're tired of that. Even they're worn out on that. They don't. They want something new and exciting.
Oh, thank God. Well, tell George he's good on the air, and we miss him, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, you're good on the air, and they miss you, George, and they'll see you soon. 567-0560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. See how life is? You keep your chin up, baby. That's what Monica Lewinsky always said. Keep your chin up. And wipe it off a little bit. That's what Enrique said. Although don't wipe all of it off because then it don't soak into your skin and make it nice and smooth and young again. Maybe that's why Enrique looks so lovely, huh? He must be pushing a lot of that stuff into his pores. He said it's pouring over here. Here's a lady in North Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Neil, first of all, good morning, and I think you're totally brilliant.
Yes, I am.
And I'm very, very pleased you're back again.
Thank you. You mean you're not upset that George isn't still filling in?
I don't even know who George is by George. Number one,
They had a king named George.
That's true. The madness of King George III.
Yes, and of course, King George VI had a little bit of a speech defect there, but it was kind of like the Kennedy daughter. They kept him locked away most of the time. They wouldn't let him speak. Am I right?
Can you blame them?
He sounded like he had a lemon in his mouth, Didn't he? Sounded like he had a persimmon in his poop. Yeah. I think it was King George VI who invented that great British delicacy, spotted dick, but nevertheless. Yes.
You're keeping me in stitches.
I know.
You really are. Neil, getting back to this madness about all these Kennedys and this boy that went down in flames, well, not in flames, in the water. Many years ago,
Kennedys grew up around the water. They just gravitate to the water, it seems.
Maybe. Many years ago, when my husband was training to be, a private pilot, the instructor drummed it into his head, and mine too. There are old pilots and there are bold pilots, but there are no old, bold pilots. Now, this young man, he was very, very reckless. There were many points that he went flying that night that were really very bold and very reckless. Many, many points why he should not have.
Well, isn't that why he was on crutches? Wasn't he in a gliding accident just a few days before? I think that's how he got his leg all busted up. He was reckless, like you said. The idle rich always tend to be reckless.
But my real point is that his recklessness and his carelessness has cost a mother the lives of 2 daughters.
Yeah, but don't forget it was his wife now. The report saying the wife was the one who insisted that they wanted to go.
That's no bearing on it. The pilot is the captain.
That's absolutely correct. The responsibility had to fall on him.
Absolutely, and it's a huge responsibility.
Right.
And he certainly had not the qualifications for the night flight, the over-water flight, many points, which I've written down, but I won't talk about. So therefore, I think if he were not a Kennedy, it would be viewed as like a murder, like a double murder.
Murder, yeah.
I'm very serious about that.
Right.
And this poor mother
Maybe
now.
it's a murder-suicide.
Well, that would be up to him. That's his life. But to take 2 and take them down with you.
Well, take 2 and call me in the morning.
All right. Neil, you are brilliant. I'll tell you again, and your analysis of everything is remarkable. And I'm very, very happy to hear you every morning, and you keep me in stitches. I love you. I told you that a few years ago.
And tally-ho.
But you never believed me.
I believe.
But I still love you.
Tally-ho. See ya.
Bye, dear.
Say hi to the Queen and the old Queen Mum. 567-0560. In fact, that's what Ted Kennedy said the day after Chappaquiddick. Mum's the word. 567-0560 and pound 560 on the AT&T. I mean, didn't that get a little bit old, though, after a while? Hearing about Rose Kennedy and about how they would have to break the news. And even when the old man was still alive and sitting there in the chair looking straight ahead going, they would, I guess they finally stopped telling him. Because if they figured if they could, told him one more tragedy, that would, that would put him right over the edge, So for those of you people who think that there isn't justice, I mean, yeah, sometimes there's no justice, but sometimes there is. So the fact that the old man had that horrible disabling stroke and lived for years and years in that semi-vegetative state, in that barely cognitive state of Massachusetts, maybe, Maybe sometimes what comes around goes around. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's Miami. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing, Nick?
Okay, Tony, nice try. Go waste your time someplace else, okay, where they might want to talk to you, which we don't on this program, or we speak English. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's Lauderhill. Hello.
How you doing, Neil?
Okay, sir.
I dated Rose Kennedy, and she always said it was J. Edgar Hoover was the father of John John.
Yeah, well, we know that ain't true.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm positive of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, go take 3 and call us in the morning. Yeah, Gay Edgar Hoover was the father. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he was hanging out there up there at Gay Head. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's the lady in Miramar. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Neil?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Listen, I have been wanting to call you for weeks. My name is Louise, and the reason I was going to call you is because you always spoke so fondly of Bill Calder.
Right.
I had a pool service for like 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I did his pool.
Right.
And I wanted to thank you, but he's such a sweet man. You know, he was always so nice and everything. And now with this Kennedy business coming up, everybody is so hyped up on Kennedy, but nobody, you know, people like Bill Calder that pass on.
That's right.
Nobody
he
says anything.
barely got 50 words in the newspaper here when Bill Calder, who was on the air here several times for a long period of time, was one of my best friends. He dies, gets nothing.
Exactly.
And he was a great guy.
He was a wonderful man. And it's not fair. You know, it was like when I would do his pool, it was always on a Thursday and about 10 o'clock in the morning. So my curiosity got the best of me, and I said to him, Bill, what do you do for a living?
Uh-huh.
And he smiled, and he said, you mean when I'm employed? Because I never listened to the radio until I met Bill and heard y'all. So about 2 weeks later, you all signed him on, and he called me in the truck, and he said, Louise, you have to put your radio to so-and-so station, and I've been hooked ever since.
Great.
But he is such a sweet man.
Yep.
And people like that need to be applauded, not make all this fuss about, you know, all this here.
About the idle rich.
Yeah.
Amen. Thanks, Louise.
All right, honey.
See you.
Bye.
Okay, we got 1,700 open lines all of a sudden here because the cats got their tongue. And you notice we've done almost half the show today. Have we had one person today call and say that we're wrong? No. One person said today that the media is right and all this. And, of course, it was the same when I came back after that 7-month hiatus and Princess Diana had died. Did we have one person who said that it was irreverent not to be all bent out of shape about that?
No.
Who gave a crap about that bit?
No.
No, not one. Not single one. I mean, you know, assuming that we live in a society where we place a high premium on human life, which we don't, but we should, from that perspective, yeah, it's tragic when 3, you know, relatively young people die. But it happens every day. Every day. Little kids die. Those 2 sisters. All kinds of horrible stuff happens. And you imbeciles in the media, oh, well, you know, crap happens. You know, it's not a big deal. But when somebody who's part of the idle rich, somebody who's part of this fabricated royalty of America, as they call it, when they die, well, it's, you know, got to be worth at least 72 hours. And believe me, you ain't seen nothing yet. Now that they've made it official that they finally thrown in the towel and they're just looking for parts, plane and people parts, now you just wait. Now it's really going to kick in high gear. Bye, George.
Yes, I'm a malcontent Julio who floated into town.
Yes.
And when I read El Herald, I just can't put it down. Since all the gringos moved away, they also try to get the El Miami Herald to change its name instead to Miami Pandora. Miami Pandora. It makes my tongue roll and roll and roll and roll. Makes it perfect for a town where there's no life to be found outside of what we do the best. like robbing ATMs and shooting tourists in the head. El Herald caters to the arrogant and hostile Julio. Camudista, this and that's all you need to know. I read it when I get a case of black bean squirts, and then I wipe my ass on my Guayabera shirt. The Miami Pandora, they make my tongue. The Miami Pandora, it makes my tongue.
1202 at 560 WQAM. Imagine the parties that they're having in Little Havana. That's why they can't be worried about that last boatload that washed up on shore. They're worried about a different washing up on shore. That's right. They're still all bent out of shape about the Bay of Pigs. Anyway, so NBC has got an American tragedy. You know how we have to have some name? We have to put a name on every one of these major hype events that they come up with. So now NBC has decided it's an American tragedy, and there's Kerry Sanders on NBC just hyperventilating, hysterical, breathlessly reporting that the Coast Guard now, it looks like they may have found the wreckage, and they're on their way out now to take a peek. And Tom Brokaw comes back on and says with a straight face, well, we've moved from that phase where there's obviously no hope to now a different phase to maybe where we can find a way to put some closure on all of this. I'll tell you the best way to put some closure on all of it, Tom, is stop talking about it. They're dead. Next. 567-0560, pound 560 on the Mobile One line. Here's Sunrise. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
I think you should get a medal, man. You're the only person that has enough balls to come out and say that this is really BS. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's a hypocrite, and I think Rick Sanchez needs to be in jail for what he has us listening to for nearly 4 days, man.
Well, I can just imagine. I was out of town on the weekend, but I can imagine he's squatting so hard over the map, he might actually drop one right there in Massachusetts.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, it's pathetic what we had to listen to for the whole weekend. I mean,
I'm going to tell you, sir, in a country of 260 million people, if this is the most pressing and important story that's going on, this must be a hell of a boring place.
It is pathetic. I mean, on Tom Brokaw, what a douchebag he is. You're right. It's overtime for everybody. I mean, everybody's having a field day over this.
Like I said, they dragged some of these guys out of mothballs, like Hugh Sidey, people we haven't seen in 100 years. They dragged them all out. Anybody that ever had a meal with the Kennedys, you know.
Yes. And everybody's a specialist, and everybody is know how to fly, and everybody is an expert.
Right, that's right.
It's unreal.
Okay.
Have a good day, Neil.
And back to you, sir.
Right.
They don't know VFR from VCR, most of these people. 567-0560, pound 560 on the Mobile One line. Here's a lady on a payphone in Pompano. Hello.
Hi, Neil.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to let you know that they already did the John Jr. on A&E last night.
Oh, it was last night now. Somebody said they had it on again this morning.
Yeah, it was on first last night. And also, my mom thinks that Ted Kennedy was the one flying the plane.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, have a good day.
Back to you.
Bye.
He just probably drove him to the airport. 567-0560, pound 560 on a Mobile One line. We got 100 open lines here right now all of a sudden. We've been smoking here for a Monday. Now it looks like we're going to have to bring Jordan Knight back out again on a Monday, no less. He's a little sleepy, okay? He had a rough weekend, Jordan. See if we can't keep it up a little while, although I doubt it. Here's a mobile in the Sawgrass. Hello.
Hey, Neil God.
Yes, sir. Speaking.
Here is a real thought to consider regarding the loss of the Kennedy. The media is going to be playing with this one for weeks, months, and possibly years. Because if you sit and think about where that plane went down, we're going to be eating Kennedy every time we have a lobster or a crab for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so
we've had lobster Newburgh. Well, how about lobster Kennedy?
Yeah, Kennedy on the half shell.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Have a nice
Thanks
afternoon.
for your highly insensitive but somewhat amusing comments. 567-0560, pound 560 on a Mobile One line. Here's a mobile in Kendall. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
My copy on this thing is that the news is typically East and West Coast oriented.
Yeah.
So maybe up in that Northeast quadrant, Kennedy's pretty darn important. But out here in the hinterland...
He's important based on what? What is it that he's done? Other than put out a glossy horseball magazine, what is it that he's done that makes him important besides his birthright, the fact that he was born to somebody who was once president?
Well, that's good enough for the people in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, though, that he was going to close down the magazine and open up an airline, but I'm not sure of that. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's it. Out here, where people work and do their thing, we really don't give it.
Where we have a life.
That's right.
Or at least pretend to have one. Okay, thank you, sir.
Bye.
I'll see you on Value Jet. Another insensitive comment about air. By the way, whatever happened to Eastern? I sure miss that Eastern Airlines. Don't we all miss Eastern? What a shame that was, you know? I think that's when this town really started going in the crapper, when we lost Eastern Airlines. That was one of my favorite. I loved Eastern Airlines. Really. Went to Hawaii on Eastern Airlines. They actually would like take off in one place and get to another one. And actually get to the destination most of the time. Unlike American, who's got a new theme song, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. What is with American Airlines lately, by the way? I don't want to get all my friends that work in American over at MIA. I got some good friends over there. They're nice people. But what's with American Airlines lately, huh? Man, they suck. Their food is pretty good, but it's kind of hard to eat with all that smoke in front of you. In fact, I noticed that's the only, usually they give you a choice in first class, smoked salmon, smoked steak. Even the desserts are smoked. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello?
Neil.
Yes, sir.
What I don't like is them saying the Kennedys are brave and courageous. Here is a guy in a small plane with
I think the word is stupid. Yeah, stupid.
With 2 lives in his hands. This isn't brave and courageous. This is an arrogant son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Who thought he could fly through fog at night on this stupid little plane with a couple of 100 hours under his belt, and he kills them all and kills himself. End of story.
Yeah.
Brave and courageous. It's arrogance, and this is what happens. That's it.
Okay.
Bye, Neil.
And don't forget, he flunked the bar exam twice. Thank God that Ted never cheated on his exams at wherever the hell, Harvard, wherever it was. Hey, listen, you know, this is a family that whatever they did, when you got that much money, your stuff don't stink. To go back to that thing from the Toronto Star we read here on Friday about your stuff. When you have enough money, it smells real sweet.
Bastard.
Oh, well, I'm the type of guy who will never settle down. Where pretty girls are, well, you know that I'm around. I kiss a man, I love 'em, 'cause to me they're all the same. I get so gosh darn hammered, I don't even know their names. 'Cause I'm a philanderer, yes, a philanderer.
Yes.
I sleep around. Well, my views are on the left, got a bimbo on the right. Only God'll know where I'll be passing out tonight. And if you want to ask me which girl I love the best, I'll tear open my shirt, got Mother Rosie on my chest. I'm a philanderer, yes, a philanderer. I sleep around. Well, my bones bend all around. I've got charm and lots of flair. And you know I've stood so many girls that I make Gary Hart look like some kind of a queer. Oh yeah, I'm the type of guy, he likes to roam around. I'm never in one place, I roam from town to town. And when I find myself falling for some girl, I hop right in that car of mine and I take her for a whirl, 'cause I'm a Kennedy. Yes, I'm Ted Kennedy. The car spins round and round.
I'm getting dizzy just thinking about it. Okay, 12:15 at 560 WQAM. What am I laughing about? Am I not supposed to be sad? I'm supposed to be depressed and morose and et cetera. And I'm not. And I'm not going to put on some act. Can you imagine for me to come in here this morning and put on some cornball act about what a great American tragedy this was and all the horrible things that have happened to this one poor family? Poor family. Underline the poor part. 56705. How's Howard Hughes doing, by the way, huh? See, he had all that money. Did it help him out?
No.
He's still taking another shower. He's still trying to wash off all the filth from that money. So all us schleppers out there, which, you know, maybe some of us have a few more bucks than some of you schleppers like George, but nevertheless, it's like I've told you before, there's the ultra rich and all the rest of us, you know? You think you got a few bucks, big deal. But there's the ultra rich, the privileged, for whom the clock stops. The whole world stops revolving when they feel like it, because they're the ones that make the world go round, whether you like it or not. Here's a mobile in Pembroke Pines. Hello.
Yeah, Neil, we could save a lot of money if they just call Footy up and ask him. I mean, this morning on his show, he told how the plane crashed, how he was flying, the weather conditions, the landing conditions.
How the hell does he know how the plane crashed when they didn't have when there were no radio reports and there was no witnesses? How does he know that?
He said he was watching something on TV, and he was telling them how they got disoriented.
Maybe he was watching that Psychic Hotline again with Phil Griffin and Shirley Peters.
I don't know, but they could save a lot of money because Putty sure had all the answers. He was like right on the ball there.
Well, okay, and he's also the one that tells you vote yes on the sales tax too. So I guess at least he's consistent. He's full of crap all the time.
He's an asshole.
567-0560 pound 560 on a mobile line. Wasn't this last guy a little bit too old to be listening to Y100 anyway? Now that you mention it. I mean, if you're over the age of 10, is there anybody in their right mind that listens to Y100?
No.
Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, buddy. I'm usually with you, but this time I think the Americans primarily are going to go with this family being an icon. And,
family is an icon?
Yeah, pretty much an icon there, Neil.
Uh-huh.
Not really a reverent thing, but hey, a big figure nonetheless. Listen, I mean...
What does that mean?
It's just the greatest American family in our times in the
The greatest
1900s.
American family in what respect?
Well, politically connected.
How about the Roosevelt family?
Roosevelt, they're up there too. They're not alive and active, are they? They're not active in politics, charities. Listen, that's not what I'm telling you this is all about. I just think the English...
How about the Rockefellers?
Rockefellers. There's a lot of Rockefeller money still out there.
Yeah. Last time I checked, Jay Rockefeller...
They keep to themselves, don't they, Neil?
What does that mean? Rockefellers, they don't have any charitable foundations, the Rockefellers?
Yeah, but their lives aren't front and center in the media like the Kennedys tend to be.
Right, that's correct.
Typically,
so the fact that they're glamorous rich, the idle rich as we call them, the fact that they're rich and glamorous and up front and make a bella figura, that's what makes them so great? Is that what you're saying? Like when William Kennedy Smith was on trial for rape, and when Michael Kennedy was accused of having sex with an underage babysitter, is that what you mean by being out in the public eye?
Yeah, they're out in the public eye. Those are good examples.
When Joe Jr. had to withdraw from the gubernatorial race in Massachusetts because of his messy divorce, and his wife wrote a tell-all book and exposed what a philanderer he was too?
Yeah, I think you got that going for you. You're right on that regard. I just really think
I'm just telling you I'm just telling you chapter and verse of what most of the. How about when David Kennedy died from a drug overdose? That put him front and center on the front of the pages. Did that make him part of a great family?
No, it made the family front and center in society's mind.
Well, sir, Hitler was front and center too. Okay, so hallelujah. What a bozo! I've been begging for somebody who disagrees, but that's just front and center. Everybody front and center, okay? Goose, step in the line right now. Come on, here we go. Good God almighty. Front and center now. Come on. Right, left. God. They're front and center. Yeah, they're famous. So is Hermann Goering and Martin Bormann were famous too, okay? I'm not comparing the Kennedys of today to Martin Bormann, but certainly Joe Kennedy, he was right in there. He never met a Nazi he didn't like. He was kind of like Pope Pius XII. Similar. Corrupt, lot of money. All from illegitimate sources. 5670560, pound 560 on a mobile one line. Here's a mobile in Boynton Beach. Hello.
Hey, guys. But this is Aaron from Boynton Beach. For whatever reason, the American people are infatuated with the Kennedy family.
Yes, sir.
They did a lot of things wrong, but they are infatuated, and they hold them up to some pedestal. And if
why is that?
For whatever reason. I mean, it's nothing logical, but they do hold them up on a pedestal, and for that reason, they're concerned about JFK and what happened to him. If you disagree, I think you're being insensitive, and if you disagree with it, don't watch it. But I think they have the right.
What do you mean I'm being insensitive? Don't people die in accidents every day in this country?
Absolutely.
And we don't spend millions of dollars of taxpayer money to drag on a fruitless, pointless search way beyond the point at which it should have ended?
Well, I think they would have done it almost for anybody. For Rockefeller went in.
Yeah, they would have called the Pentagon for anybody, yeah.
Well, again, because of what the family stands for in the American
Sir,
There may not be logical. There may not be a logical reason for it, but that's fact. That's what the American people want.
I don't know. You and the last caller are the only two people I've talked to all day who feel that way. The rest of them...
Well, I put it this way. If the people didn't feel that way, they wouldn't have listened. And you got magazines who put his face on the cover. He's been on Time Alone 27 times. And if the people didn't like it, they wouldn't have bought the magazine.
He's been on the cover of Time magazine 27 times?
27 times he's been on the cover of Time magazine.
John Kennedy Jr.?
John Kennedy Jr. It was this morning. I heard it on the Today Show.
Sir, if John Kennedy Jr. has been on the front page of Time magazine 27 times, I'll eat the styrofoam that my lunch came here today.
Well, I'm not saying for just when he was an adult. I'm talking from the time he was a child.
Well, they've shown the one picture, that salute picture, when he was 3 years old, probably 25 times.
Well, I'm not talking about that. But there's somebody from Time magazine, and they were asked why so many times. People wanted it.
People wanted what?
They accepted the picture being on Time.
They accepted. Did they take a poll when they put somebody on a front page of Time other than when they're doing a Person of the Year? And
they wouldn't have bought the magazine.
Sir, people who read Time magazine buy it no matter whose picture is on the cover, unless it's going to be Hitler, which may be at the end of this year. And not all the psychotic Jews get bent out of shape because they don't want to understand what the poll was all about. Other than that, nobody goes out and buys a magazine, a news magazine. They might buy People magazine because somebody's on the cover. They might buy Rolling Stone magazine because that Medical and Ricky Martin's on the cover. But other than that, people don't buy news magazine because John is saluting on the cover or whatever. 567-0560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Here's a mobile in West Palm Beach. Hello.
Hello, Neil. How you doing?
Great.
I got two words for the people that treat the Kennedy as icons. Gay head. That's where all the debris came in from the plane, right?
Yeah.
So, the reason I really called, though, was to mention Greg Morris. His son, I don't know if you know this or not, is the imitator of Johnny Cochran. He does all the impressions on the last episode of Seinfeld and in the commercials. He does Johnny Cochran.
Right.
So he's perpetuating the Greg Morris.
The legacy.
The legacy. Exactly.
I don't give a shit anymore.
Great. Okay, thanks for the good news.
All right.
Whatever you said. You know what he said?
No.
But it was good. 567-0560, pound 560 on a mobile one line. They're an icon. How can a family be an icon? Huh? Can you explain that to me, sir? Am I missing something there? Isn't an icon an individual who is looked upon as some kind of a hero, some kind of a bigger than life, the whole Kennedy family is an icon?
Representing what?
No, but that would include all of them. When you say the family, including all the criminals, all the rapists, all the scumbags, the old man. How's the old man doing, by the way, huh?
Don't forget the crazies.
And, of course, the one that they had to stick away there with a lot of electroshock therapy. Rosemary's Baby. Here's Miami. Hello. Miami.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had a question about the tax system. I didn't know the penny tax. I know you mentioned it. What is that all about? I'm ignorant to this.
Well, I think before you said to this, I think that's where the period should have gone. Just say
no.
Okay, a week from Thursday, sir. Although I have my doubts that you registered to vote or would know how to fit. Just to have somebody put an X where it says
no
on the ballot. 567-0560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. That election is going to be this. That's what it's based on, a week from Thursday. If you think that JFK Jr., if you think that this accident was extremely important and a major thing in your life, vote yes. If you couldn't give a crap less, vote no. Okay? That's what the election's all about. Just vote no. Here's a mobile in Sunrise. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, icons. Aren't those the things you get on your computer?
Yeah.
Those little icons?
Uh-huh.
A lot of overkill. And the only reason they haven't found JFK is because they haven't sent the brothers to the rescue out there.
There you go. That's something to think about.
Yeah, they found them right away, especially if there would have been a Cuban on the plane.
Uh-huh.
They would have found them in no time. And one other thing, the monument on the JFK Causeway in North Bay Village
right.
was made by my brother-in-law, Jose Pinto. just for somebody's information.
Okay, thank you.
But lots of overkill this weekend.
Okay, thank you so much. His brother-in-law, Jose Pinga, made the monument on the 79th Street on the JFK Causeway. That's right. I forgot that. I forgot who the hell ever calls it the JFK Causeway. You call it that?
No.
We used to drive over that thing twice a day, every day for years and years and years. Did we ever call this the JFK Causeway?
No.
But nevertheless. Probably pissed those Cubans off. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line, 1226 at QAM. It's schwitzing out there, baby. It's like an oven.
You're always asking about Dade County and shit. Oh, I'm sorry.
You tell me that you love my eyes, but I know that you keep on checking out my thighs.
Yeah.
Don't blame you 'cause I'm very cute. Check out my breasts, they're poking out my bust at you.
All right.
You come on to me and whisper things in my ear, and it sounds so odd, but if you wanna date me, move slow. There's things about me I don't think you know. I'm underage.
Oh!
17. You should be scared of me, 'cause you could go to jail if you sleep with me. If I scream, you end up praising me. She was 25, but she's just a teen. Perfect teen. I bet my legs are free. Daddy called the cops last night. My breasts are perfect to me because I've had surgery. Down on my skirt, reach my knee. My butt just hangs right out of my shorts. She's underage. JFK. You should be scared of her. Scared of me? Rolling Stones grenades and dynamite. What a sight. She's looking mighty fine. She looks 25, but she's just a teen.
1232 at 560. A lot of rumors about Britney, by the way. Some is good news, some is bad. The bad news is, rumor is that she's really only 50, and the good news is that they're real. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Here's a lady in Miami. Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Neil.
Is this a lady?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this Neil?
This is Neil.
Oh, Neil, are you a man?
Last time I checked.
Listen, I want to comment to you about your comments about the Kennedy having so much news coverage. Is it that you're angry with yourself inwardly because such a fine, handsome, gorgeous young specimen would not be available, probably for your bed or
Not at all. Not my type at all,
your
sweetheart.
fantasies?
Too old and too ugly. No, I had no fantasies about
Ugly? When was the last time you looked in the mirror? That
Yeah.
young man was never ugly.
I didn't say he was ugly. I said he was nothing.
What you mean? What do you classify?
Just like I said, he was nothing. He was on a scale of 10. I give him about a 5.5. I'll be
how
generous.
did you come up with that rating?
What?
What method did you come up with that rating? A 5?
Well, I sat here and I went, and then I said 5.5.
Crazy? A 5?
I say about a 4.5.
A 10?
And getting worse by the minute too, by the way.
Why?
Waterlogged.
Waterlogged.
Okay, sweetheart. Have a great day. Okay, keep scrubbing away in that watermelon. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. I'm just jealous because he ain't available for my bed. Talk about getting to real life, honey. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hey, Uncle Neil.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Okay.
I think aliens got him.
Yeah.
I do. Well, I mean, it just, that's what someone's going to say. They're going to make they're going to make a story about that.
No, they're not.
You don't think so?
No.
Oh, okay. Just curious.
Okay.
What?
Just curious. How do you like that? Well, we actually had some calls today up until this point. Just curious. What can we say about that?
He's an asshole.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, 400 open lines. Now we got another hour and 25 minutes to go before the Hank Goldberg Show from Shula Steak 2. Donnie B talking baseball at 6. The Marlins and the Red Sox at Fenway later on like at 7:05. Any interest at all in that crap?
No.
No. You do realize it's only the 19th of July? You got all the rest of July, you got August, and the whole month of September before this insufferable baseball season finally ends. And I understand, I didn't read any of it because I wasn't here this weekend, but evidently Dave Dombrowski, who got into it with Little Dog on the morning show here last Thursday or Friday, evidently Dave Dombrowski now, like so many other people like the Murrays, pointing fingers, oh, it's the radio talk show people, it's the talk shows in this town. That's why people are turned off out of the Marlins. Not because they lost 108 games last year, and they may even do worse than that this year. And they're trading away anybody that any fan might possibly have liked or related to. That's right, Dave. Nice to see that you're hopping right in bed there with Brian and Terry Murray, pointing the finger, blaming everybody else for your own ineptitudes. Here's a mobile in Bonita Springs. Hello.
Hey, Neil. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, sir.
Hey, great show. I just want to say I am so tired of these no-life losers who obsess over the Kennedy family because they have no lives of their own.
Like this last bitch who's a busy fantasizing. She's just all about... What difference does it make if he was a 10 or a 500? The fact is he's dead, and he never did a goddamn thing in his life to amount to anything other than he was the son of a late president. That's all.
Yeah, well, they just obsess over the Kennedy, and I think it's really the media that was so thrilled with the Kennedy family, and if we'd gone down in a plane, that would have been over in a few hours, or we'd have got a little blurb on the second page.
A little blurb, that's right. That's all you get, man, is a little blurb.
I just get so tired. I just want to say your show rocks, buddy. Have a good day.
Thanks, pal.
Yep.
5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line as we continue searching for the ultimate truth here of the media being totally sick and disgusting and nauseating and taking every goddamn thing that happens and beating it to a bloody pulp, squeezing every dime they possibly can. Even on the Tom Green show, they didn't squeeze that cow's udder in the supermarket that day the way these people are squeezing the poor dead Kennedys. Although they sure gave it a good squirt shot. There you go, the dead Kennedys. Boy, would that be really tasteless and grotesque to do that. That would be like playing a Book of Brian parody on this thing. Here's the mobile in South Miami. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think they overplay this thing about the Kennedys and this Cuban crisis down here. But what I wanted to ask or get some comments on was, all these Cubans come over from Cuba. We ain't got nothing against them, but they come over here, and we give them a check and everything.
So what are you talking about? What does this have to do with the dead Kennedys? What are we talking about?
I just wanted to...
Yeah, you wanted to start with the Cuban stuff again. Let's save it for a rainy day, okay, pal, when we're really bored, which we're not today.
We're supposed to get a check?
Yeah, you're going to get a check, just like you're going to get that big check for filling in when I'm on vacation, that little extra $400 or $500 a week that they're going to stuff in your envelope. No. That'll be a cold day in hell, I'll tell you that. Cheap bastards. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line, 22 till 1 at QAM.
This is the most disgusting program. I urge everyone to complain to this station.
Tonight on A&E, Biography salutes Black History Month.
Hello, I'm Jack Perkins. Join me for a look at the legacy of African Americans who contributed to the black culture of today. Nantan Moreland, Moms Mabley, Slappy White, Eddie Anderson, Roscoe Lee Brown, Chelsea Brown, Rodney Allen Rigby, Eugene Robinson, Tim Moore, Blowfly, Shirley Hemphill, Yafet Kodo, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Melba Moore, Melba Tote, Lawanda Page, Sambo, Jackie Mofucker, Farina, Buckwheat, Stephen Fetchett, Urkel, Ernestine Wade, Godfrey Cambridge, Whitman Mayo, Butterfly McQueen, Johnny Brown, Big Meat Markham, Willie Tyler, Dan Lester.
Call this month on A&E.
1243, it's all been preempted, by the way, by the best of JFK Jr., John. Here's a letter from Richard Friedman, by the way, the only great white hope we got left in Dade County, who's sent a letter to the Historical Museum of South Florida. They're doing the same thing that all the other organizations are doing in Dade County, and that is illegally sending out letters to all of their members, even though these are not-for-profit organizations, as he points out. They're encouraging a yes vote on that bullcrap Metro Rail tax a week from Thursday. And leave it to Richard Friedman to call it on the carpet and turn him into the goddamn feds. Nice going there, Dick. 5670560. Oh, here's a thing from Al Goldstein. I wonder if there's like a little. This isn't a tape for once, huh?
No, it's a stupid schedule, which I already have one.
Oh, it's a stupid schedule. I thought maybe it was going to be a note responding to my very accurate caustic message I left on his answering machine in Pompano Beach, telling him what a buttsucker he'd become, but I still love him, and occasionally still might be interested in using that apartment in Amsterdam. Oh, this is his itinerary, huh? New York, L.A., San Francisco, Vegas, Amsterdam. What a tough life, huh? When you're big and fat and weigh 600 pounds, huh? Boy, I won't be in Amsterdam again for a long time. Probably need somebody to keep that apartment warm, right? Here's a mobile in Hollywood. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about the Kennedys. The great things they did. The father was shaking hands with Hitler, making deals. They talk about the Kennedys doing so great. This kid wasn't bad, but he came from a family that was really bad.
Yep.
Yep. And then I was saying, Neil, I don't know what we do without your program. But listen, I just heard that tape about the great blacks and the contribution. You add one name to that, Zoe Morning. The guy's done a great job. Contribute a lot back to the, to the community.
If you ask me. Okay, thank you, sir. Whatever you say. Just keep him off the station. That's all I ask. Okay, just keep him out of here. Keep him out of here. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Here's a mobile in Boca. Hello.
Neil, how you
Yes,
doing?
sir. Great.
In your search for the truth today, I think you already hit on it. You gave the answer before. I've been a commercial pilot since John Kennedy was about 8 years old and a former flight. So that's arrogance. And we have a saying as pilots, there are no old pilots.
Yeah.
And I think John, just bit off a little bit more airplane than he could handle, and his ratings and his experience could handle. Personally, as a commercial pilot, I would not want to make a single-engine flight to Bimini at night, and I have an instrument rating. I would never even consider that, and he flew over more open water than there is between Fort Lauderdale and Bimini. And that's a flight that I could probably make another half an hour.
Right.
And it is arrogance. A lot of pilots take on responsibility, and I heard you mention it, I've read before, that you probably got the push. A lot of pilots get tired, and they push on. A lot of pilots get nagged. A lot of pilots get pressured, and they have to make meetings, and they push themselves beyond their limits, and probably he thought he could do it, but that's what happens to guys who exceed their limits. That's a pretty heavy-duty airplane, too. He had a handful of airplane there. I've flown that particular aircraft, that type of aircraft, many times before, and it's not a forgiving airplane.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.
5670560, a couple of clippings I'm perusing here. I mean, the guy's right on target, but while he's talking, I'm perusing a couple of clippings that were sent to me from while I was on vacation. WQAM files lawsuit against new station by Barry Jackass. WAFN denies trying to lure Joe Rose. Oh, man. Oh, man, oh, man. So here's another big excuse for Barry Jackass to have written yet the 85th in a 4,000-part series of articles about WAFN, a station that we're laughing. And WQAM signs 3-year deal with Finally, after months and months of they so they got the announcement of the announcers? No. For football, they'll consider Dave Lamont. They'll consider Joe Zagacki? Oh, my God!
Joe Zagacki suck.
Oh, Jesus! Ex-UM Senator Don Bailey, isn't he the guy with the carpet ads up on the wall? WINZ's UM football analyst is expected to be hired by QM for the same job. QM will consider Dave Lamont, Joe Zagacki, Frank Fort, and University of Massachusetts announcer Mark Vandermeer, among others. Mark is the best broadcaster of the group, said Greg Reed, but he doesn't kiss a lot of cottage cheese ass, so they might give it to
Joe Zagacki.
Oh, my God, what a thought that is. You want to go in an instant coma during a ball game, just put his ass on there. Like those times he used to do a little UM baseball. Wow. Man. Get serious, Greg. 5670560, pound 560 on a mobile one line. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Yellow.
Yes, sir.
Neil, I got to say, the Kennedys are icons. And the reason I say that is because if you look at Rory Kennedy, she makes Princess Anne look like Pamela Anderson, and there's definite incest going on. It's ridiculous. That's all I got to say. He just pulled her off a big oak tree, and he did her future husband, a favor. So that's what I got to say.
Okay, thanks for the very forgiving comments there, but whatever you said was right. Look at this. Here's a whole bunch of hockey cards. Look at that.
Oh, that's the thing I thought was a bomb.
Here's Rob Pearson, Alexander Godinuk when he was with the Leafs for about 2 minutes. Todd Gill, Mike Foligno. Hey, how's it going, eh? Old Mike. Felix Potvin. Glenn Anderson, Crazy Man. Look at this. Who is this from? Says, I listen every day and closed a few Maple Leaf cards. Just opened a store, Classic Collectibles in Coral Springs. Hope you enjoy the gift. Steve Levin and Mark Nero, who's probably fiddling up there. And I wish they would have put the address of their store on here. I'd have given them a nice plug, but I'm sure they'll do that in the future, okay? Somewhere up there in Coral Springs. What's the name of the store? It doesn't even have the name of the store. Oh, Classic Collectibles. Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. Look at these. Look at a whole bunch of Maple Leaf cards. Here's Peter Zezel. Oh, Drake Barahowski. Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to have to take a few minutes off.
Squirt.
Drake Barahowski. Of course, almost nobody on these cards are on the team anymore, but that's okay. Will Paymont. John Cullen. Wendell Clark. Jeff Reese. Ian Turnbull. Woo! Daniel Merwa. L.I. Afraidy. Mike Krushelniski. I mean, there's Drake Barahowski again, naked. All right, now we're talking.
Oh!
Woo, look at that thing. Man, it's alive. Look at that. Whole buttload of stuff. I wonder if these are worth anything, huh?
No.
No. 5670560, pound 560 on our mobile one line. Here's Hialeah. Hello. Is that's a line 6 button again? Man, that thing is got a malfunction at the junction. Hialeah.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Dios.
Speaking.
Neil, I'm crying my heart out for JFK Jr.
You're crying your heart out?
Not.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Right after it happened, every freaking channel had this crap on. And check this out. On one of the Spanish local channels, some old fart said that it was the curse of the Bay of Pig failure.
Yeah, there you go.
Could you believe that?
Uh-huh.
It's truly
It's funny that the curse started in 1944 or 5 when, P.T. With all that stuff, the brother.
109 or something.
Whatever it was, when he died. So it started, it must have been a psychic curse.
It could have been.
Uh-huh.
You know how us Cubans are with psychics.
That's right.
And
just ask Shirley Tweeter, she'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. What has this ex-playboy contributed to society? Nothing.
I'm still waiting to hear it. I don't know. I've heard nothing.
Nothing.
I had a couple of people on there that got all bent out of shape and give me a bunch of glittering generalities about the Kennedy family or icons, et cetera, and so on. But when it comes to finding out what he did besides saluting the casket when he was 3 years old, and then coming out with a magazine 36 years later or whatever it was, I don't know. Nothing.
That's exactly what I told my wife on Saturday. The only thing he did was saluting the casket as it went in front of him. That was it. Outrageous.
Yeah.
2 things, Neil. Alex Penis less. No to your taxes. And yesterday's Herald, they had a list of all the contributors to this no transits for tolls or no tolls for transit.
Yeah.
Including the Museum of Science. So Jack Horkheimer, stick all your planets up your ass.
Well, I'm sure they'll be getting letters from Richard Friedman again too.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And
Thanks for the
finally,
good news. Yeah.
Gabby and Ricky Martin, I love you too.
Okay. 5670560, pound 560 on the mobile one line. Was that Ricky Ricardo we just had on there, or was he just doing an imitation? Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Hello, Uncle Neil.
Yes, sir. Speaking.
Happy Monday.
And back to you.
Neil, I could, to an extent, I could sympathize because you don't want to see anybody dying the way they
Right.
did.
That's right.
But,
you don't want to see anybody dying, period. It's not a pleasant thing.
Exactly. I agree with you. Do no harm to nobody, okay? But I was listening to the news about it the other day, and they said that the Kennedys are the closest thing that we have to American royalty.
Yeah. No matter
And here I am thinking to myself, do they have any idea of where JFK's dad got all of his money from?
Sure.
You know, the guy made all this money during Prohibition.
Right.
You know, running. You know, it's ridiculous. So where do they come off with this stuff? You know.
Well, you got to maybe what they mean indirectly, and they don't even understand what they mean, is that royalty, all the divorces and all the insanity and all the misfits. Maybe that's what it's all about.
I can't figure it out.
Because it certainly works in Britain that way.
Yeah, apparently, I can't figure it out, but, well, what the hell. And can I get a shameless request?
Maybe.
WQAM School of Broadcasting?
Okay.
All right. Thanks a lot, Neil.
See you, pal. Have a great life. 5670560 pound. We're going to press on, baby. Somehow we'll overcome this, even though.
When we come back more in the investigative role of reconstructing an accident from the air.
Yeah, see, there you go. They're psychotic, CNN. I mean, every angle of this. Accidents, we got aviation experts. We got deep sea divers. Divers do it deeper. You know something, you people, why don't you just shut the goddamn thing off there on CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, Fox goddamn freaking 24-hour news. Shut the things off, okay, and give everybody a rest and give a chance for their to take a breath. Man. Just inundate you, just overwhelm you with nothing, and in this particular case, absolutely nothing. I'll say one thing, never in the history of television have they spent so many hours with so little information and just kept banging away and bang, I mean, just relentless. They brought people out that haven't been on a goddamn television in 600 years. I wouldn't be surprised if they did drag Martin Agronsky's body out, because I'm pretty sure he's deader than a doornail. Just prop it up in a chair. What do you say, Martin? What do you think of this? You knew the Kennedys very well. You were big in this political stuff. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Martin. Here's Margate. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I agree with you about the press. They have no credibility, but I think you forgot an important point.
What is that?
Not forgot, but you haven't brought up. What John Jr. represented to us who grew up during the Kennedy years. And then
he did not grow up during the Kennedy years.
No. I'm saying for those of us, including you, who grew up during the Kennedy years, those were 3 years where we had hope, where we had motivation, we were in love with our president.
But he had nothing to do with that.
Yes, he did. He
did not. He wasn't a part of it. He was 3 years old when the president died.
But that's why he reminds us of that. That picture of him saluting the casket and those reminds us of...
Sir, you're getting sucked into the hype. Him saluting the casket has got nothing to do with the attitudes of the American people. That happened after the president was assassinated. It had nothing to do with those 3 years plus when the president was in office.
How did you feel during those 3 years? And didn't you feel cynical after the 60s ended?
What has that got to do with a little 3-year-old kid with his hand over his head like his mother told him to do?
Because he reminds us of that.
No, he does not.
To you, he doesn't, because you become so cynical.
It's got nothing to do with cynical or not. It's just that because he was a member of the family. How about the dog? How about if the Kennedy family dog was on the front page of the paper? Would that remind you?
Yeah. Because in those 3 years those are the only 3 years I felt good about our country.
Yeah.
Those are the only 3 years we were in love with our president and the first family.
Yeah.
Those are our age of peril.
Let me ask you a question, by the way. How's Marilyn Monroe doing?
Not too good.
Okay, thank you. Just checking. Of course, we could have played Goodbye, Norma Jean, because that's what all the parodies are based on there, but that would be too serious, too morbid. Anybody seen her lately?
No.
Dead. Wonder how that happened. See, if you want to get sucked up in all that Camelot, I mean, I was a big fan of JFK, okay? I would agree with you that he was young, he was dynamic, he was a great speaker, he brought out our greatest hopes, he was inspirational, yada, yada, yada. But you see, now in retrospect, we look back and we do a little bit of reading and a little bit of study, and we realize that most of it was bull crap. And all the crap about how we had gay Edgar Hoover there with all the files and blackmailing JFK and Bobby and everybody else, had the goods on everybody who was born. How's Clyde Tolson doing, by the way? I wonder if he and gay Edgar are doing it underground. You think so? I wouldn't be surprised. You think that's a worm under there, huh?
Oh boy, it's the 1 to 2 hour.
The story that rocked Palm Beach in the world.
Uncle Ted, dude, throw on some boxer shorts, let's cruise our bar, and rage with some babes. Excellent.
Power, money, women, and poontang.
Uncle Ted, dude, let's use our infamous last names to impress these babes and do the wild thing at the compound. No way, Bill. Just wait, Ted. Excellent.
They're rich, they're powerful. They like to swim naked.
Oh!
Kennedy Smith and Ted Kennedy in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Part 2, The Next Genitalia.
Excellent!
Coming soon to a theater near you. Rated X for excellent.
Speaking of genitalia, by the way, here's the biggest pervert I know. How's the apartment coming, Al?
It's great, but I
The truth is,
Al Goldstein, who used to enjoy being on the receiving end of sucking, but now has become one of the biggest suckholes in the history of journalism. Anyway.
I am. Well, I'm doing Howard in 2 weeks, and I want to push ScrewMag.com.
Yeah, I bet you are doing Howard.
I am a hooer, but didn't I say you were better than he was?
I appreciated the nice things you said about me, but the shameless way, I mean, Jesus.
I am a hooer.
God almighty.
I
know those expensive divorces can be a mess, but Jesus, Al.
You know, George.
We can't count on you to have a little bit of balls. Who the hell can we count?
But you know, it's funny. My office called me up. We're going to do a satire on the kid who died. And at first I thought, well, I sort of liked him because he's handsome and he gets more women than I do. But we're going to tear him a new, rectum.
Good.
But for a moment, I almost was sensitive. Then I heard you this morning.
You were sensitive about what? Based on what? What did he ever accomplish?
Nothing.
What did he ever do?
But you encouraged me to be the crude, vulgar, tasteless human being I am.
See, you were losing it. Leave it to me to bring you back to reality. That's true.
It's true. By the way, I was 280. I gained 8 pounds because I would. It's your fault because 2 blocks from my apartment. I swear this is true. There's a place in Amsterdam, a Newmark, that sells Ben and Jerry's, Chubby Hubby, and of course fish food. And I get stoned, and I would eat, and I'm up 8 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm 288. I'm not 600. But you see, George makes a great point. You and I cannot talk about 2 things. Women, because you're a faggot.
Yeah.
And number 2, we can't talk about drugs because you're drug-free.
Mm-hmm.
That makes our shows boring. But I did want to say, no, you're boring. I mean, it's like, I don't like hockey. I had never gone to hockey. You've never invited me.
Yeah, good. I can't afford 2 extra seats.
Yeah, soap operas I don't care about. But the good news is August 4th, finally, I'm doing Conan O'Brien. Neil, it's the first time.
Why are you telling me these things? It was on that tape. You're plugging it for the audience now because you're shameless. You're shameless. You can't stand these people. You know they're a bunch of no-talent ass suckers, and you want to go on there to plug your Screw magazine. Instead of talking about JFK Jr. and that boring George magazine, you ought to be talking about Screw magazine.
I know. I'm bringing KY with me, and Conan. Conan goes to Harvard too. Is a Harvard graduate. I am so low and contemptible. You I love. I really. I'm so fond of you, and not because of the gay thing, but because of your atheism. Nobody has your balls.
Yeah.
I don't want to do suck up and your God, but you are. But even though you're only local radio, I'll still do you.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'll
use the apartment in Holland. I was there 2 weeks ago. Oh, I went to an oyster farm near Antwerp.
Mm-hmm.
It is the food is so good. Have you ever had mussels in Amsterdam?
Have you ever seen me naked? You know I never had muscles. Okay? I had muscles like you and Ron Jeremy had muscles.
Yeah, you're the only guy who picks up a male hustler who's fat.
Yeah, that's what you think. That's what you
know,
hope. That's what you pray.
Oh, I was thinking about you.
And I got news for you. Anybody that picks up hustlers in Amsterdam that can't get laid without paying for it is really desperate.
But no, when you go to those gay theaters, they got the best glory holes.
There you go. Well, it sounds like the voice of experience to me.
Well, I admit, I've done guys, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd let a guy do. I'd let you do me at the drop of a pair of pants. Okay, if your friend can see, come into my house in Amsterdam. Use the apartment. You and the Krasnopolsky. Enough already.
I don't stay at the Krasnopolsky. And by the way, the last time you were there, you left on a Saturday because George gave me the schedule. We got there on Friday.
Well,
John went over there on Saturday and was going to go in and actually heard the sounds of like the TV was on or you were still inside, turned around and flew out of there.
Okay, but the apartment.
And especially after what he just heard you say, I'm sure next time he won't go anywhere near there if there's any chance you might be in there.
But I have a big screen TV. I'm 4 blocks from all the cruising places.
Yeah, you got a great location.
It's fantastic. Use the apartment. It's wonderful. I'm saying you'll save $200-300 a day.
I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
I know you're a million.
He goes in there and watches the tape stuff off the VCR. I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
I have DVD now.
Don't take it. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. That you got DVD and BVD and whatever else you got. That's what I'm afraid of. God only knows what's crawling around in there.
When are you going next to Amsterdam?
End of August.
Well, use the apartment.
Okay.
Come on. Will
okay.
you promise me?
I'll go over there. I'll stick my key in there.
A final hustler thing. ScrewMag.com. The best porn on the net. Okay.
Now that we can't get George Magazine anymore and get JFK Jr. naked ever again, I guess we have to resort to www.screwmag.com.
Have you gotten a copy of my movie where I performed cunnilingus, Hot Wheels, high heels?
Oh, in the middle of my lunch. Right in the middle of my lunch. Oh, God.
They asked me to turn off your appetite. Think of me performing cunnilingus.
That'll do it.
Are you feeling good?
My meal's coming back for seconds.
Okay, love you.
See you, Al.
Bye.
Okay. The disgusting Al Goldstein.
I saw it.
Yeah, you showed me about 3 seconds of it, that thing with him and Ron Jeremy. Jesus Christ. Oh. Even cats have never seen so many fur balls in their lives as they're in that thing. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T line. Pembroke Pines, hello.
Hello, Uncle Neil?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I agree with you 99 and 44 100% of the time.
Right.
But the one thing you don't understand about the Kennedys is that once you're related to them, and, you know, since JFK was assassinated, they passed a law that the Secret Service will protect you for the rest of your life. And that includes all the siblings and the sisters and the brothers and that's why this total thing is going on. But I agree with you.
The Secret Service protect all the Kennedys?
Yes. I hate to say it. And Ethel has 13 children.
Ethel?
Ethel.
She's crazier than a bedbug. She talks to psychics, you know, and she talks to her late husband. Seriously, she's crazier than a bedbug.
Have you seen her son, Bobby Jr.?
No.
Identical.
Yeah.
His face. It's like they took his face out of the grave and put it on her son.
Yeah, I hear he gives good face. Okay, thanks for the good news. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. You'd think with all that money, the family could do something about those teeth.
You're looking for glory holes.
Capitol Records is proud to present the Elvis album everyone's been waiting for. It's Elvis in Seattle.
I don't mind stealing bread from the mouths of decadence. I'm getting hungry. Hey, Red, give me a cheeseburger, man, and see if the Colonel's got any leftover lasagna. I'm getting hungry.
That's right. The king of rock and roll is playing the Kingdom, and you've got a front row ticket.
Well, Jeremy spoke in class today.
Elvis covers all the great Seattle bands. Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, and the one that started it all, Nirvana.
Oh, man, I'm a lotto, my mosquito. My libido.
Elvis is wearing flannel and rocking Seattle. Only on Capitol Records and Tape.
Man, SpaghettiOs, got some Cheetos, and some Pohos, mashed potatoes. Thank you very much.
114 at 560 WQAM. Reading this article by Barry Jackass about the QAM lawsuit against WAFN, against the new sports station. This is the same place where they pay everybody late, where the cable got turned off in there last week. We had it turned off a couple of weeks ago because they don't pay their goddamn bills. And yet they can afford to pay their lawyer to go to court and file ludicrous, silly-ass lawsuits that they were trying to interfere. You know, Joe Rose's contract ends in December. Now, if they had some way of knowing that his contract ends in December, it would seem to me that based on all of my years in the business, they had every right to inquire as to whether he was going to renew his contract here at QAM or whether he had a non-compete clause or any of those things. They have every right to investigate on that without a breach of contract. As a matter of fact, it seems to me as I think back to my first contacts with Greg Reed. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Of course, I had that window in my contract, but nevertheless, just another silly-ass bit of paranoia. In fact, there's a statement here by the attorney for WAFN who says, with all due respect to WQAM's attorney, this is a baseless complaint by a desperate station that is now encountering a formidable competitor in the industry. Which, of course, the formidable part is a joke, but the fact that they're reacting to it before they even go on the air shows you how insecure and desperate Mr. Reed happens to be. And speaking of Mr. Reed, you know, America's greatest family, the Kennedys, how about the Cleavers? Huh? The Simpsons. The Nelsons.
The Bunkers.
The Bunkers. There you go. The Jeffersons. The Kennedys, America's most famous family. Break. Here's a mobile in Fort Lauderdale. Hello. Mobile in Fort Lauderdale.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Okay.
Good. I'm so thankful that I am only 28 years old.
Yeah.
Because I'm not bogged down in the memories of JFK. I'm fortunate enough to have read and have seen video and make my own decisions rather than being caught up in the hysteria.
Yeah, this guy that called before, I mean, it seems to me he's like caught in a time warp.
The 3 best years of his life is in the beginning of the 60s.
Sounds to me like it's time for,
He should have got on a plane with JFK Jr. for the 3 best years of his life.
Right.
Oh, man. The fact that this guy, the kid hasn't done anything. I mean, I respect the guy. It's a tragedy, human tragedy. The guy got a tremendous amount of good-looking women. But other than that, he ran a magazine. He didn't cure cancer, didn't, come up with a cure for AIDS or anything. He runs a magazine, and now all of a sudden he's the toast of the town.
I'm not shedding any tears, man. That's all I can tell you.
It's
Life will go on. Life will go on, and the
to-
world will spin around, and have a great day, and get a new phone, please. 5670560 pound. In fact, we need a new phone in here. This thing ain't disconnecting real good, and you press the buttons, and they're all getting like number 6. They're getting harder and harder, and it's getting hard, baby. Really, really hard. Maybe that dark-complected bitch that called earlier, maybe she could call back, okay? Because it's getting just about hard enough for her. Now that she's wearing a cucumber out. Here's a mobile in Miami. Hello.
Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, on top of all this, they're having another demonstration in downtown Miami.
About what?
The Pure Love Alliance.
Which is what?
Some bunch of college kids running around talking about how a relationship between a man and a woman only is a cherished relationship from God, to practice abstinence, and saying that the First Amendment is garbage, and that Larry and Flint and Al Goldstein and all the other people with Playboy and all that stuff need to rot in hell. And they're marching around downtown Miami, beating drums and tying up traffic.
Yeah, tying up traffic also?
Yeah, because they were crossing the streets and people are slowing down to watch what in the hell they're doing.
Yeah, but they're not out there blocking the streets, though.
They were crossing through traffic.
Sir, let me
and
say it
everything.
again. Are they out there blocking the streets before you get a little too carried away?
They were crossing through traffic.
Okay, thank you. 5670560 pound 560. She's just a little bit hysterical, okay? She's just a little bit carried away, that queen.
What were they doing?
They were cross-dressing, I think is what he said. Here's Miami Lakes. Hello.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was watching this thing on John last night on MSNBC. I was bored. Anyway, I swear to God, one of the Coast Guard guys said, one of the head guys, he goes, "We are doing no more or no less than we would do for any other plane that went down under similar circumstances."
Absolutely. They would always call the Pentagon and call the President and get the Joint Chiefs of Staff together and the FBI and the Secret Service and the CIA. I mean, if your brother-in-law, God forbid, went down in a plane, they would call up all those agencies and spend at least $40, $50, $100 million to make sure they did everything they could.
They got 3 of the most advanced sonar ships in the world. They got to think if my schlepper ass went down out there,
Yeah.
I'd be rotting down there forever. But anyway.
Talk about sleeping with the fishes.
Hello?
I'm here.
Yeah, anyway, I want to ask you something else. I'm a little confused about the underage laws for sex. Is it like 18? Is that it?
In America, 35.
But you know it's confusing.
35, sir, and that's for men. For women, 54.
Well, I asked 5 different people. I get 5 different opinions about that.
Yeah.
And the drummer, I'm in a band. The drummer,
Yeah. The drummer in his band just knocked his phone out of his hand, I think. Nice going there, pal. Good shot. Just went dead. Drummer in his band is banging a 13-year-old chick. How do you like that? Yes, he does. If it was good enough for Roman Polanski, baby.
Oh!
5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line.
Why are you airing shit like this?
Here's a mobile in West Palm. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, first off, you should tell your station to get it so we can hear you better up here. It fades in and out because your signal's not strong enough.
How about if we talk louder? How's that? A little better?
That may work. That'll save you guys some money, too, probably, if you just scream
Well,
more.
that would help.
But
We've
about
got a
the
lot of
JFK,
screamers over here.
just on the JFK thing, I think the biggest problem with it is the only decent one did die, and the rest are just scumbags who are still around in America. I think that's the biggest problem. That's why it's making so many headlines.
The only decent one?
Did just die. I mean, if he was somewhat of a decent human being, because the rest of the Kennedys are just a bunch of scumbags.
Well, how do you know that? There's like 87 more. Do you know all of them?
No, just from what you read.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, and also the Secret Service. How's that guy say they still cover the family? Where's the intelligence there?
Anyway, 5670560. I'd like, as soon as when they say anyway, that's always a good sign. Like, see ya. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. As we keep pressing along, singing a song, and guess what they're talking about on CNN? Is it something different now?
Boy, Lou, you got to work on those vacations.
Nowhere to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Valerie Boss may know of a place.
Oh, and look at this. Valerie
well-
Boss is doing the weather, and it's not at Hyannisport or Martha's Vineyard or Gay Head or any of those other places. Let's hear it for Valerie.
Oh!
Even though she sucks on the weather. Here's a mobile in Miami Beach. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good, sir.
Yeah, about John F. Kennedy Jr. The plane that he was flying, you need just a license just to read the controls on the plane. He could have all the hours in the air he wants, but if he can't read those controls, it's a death trap for him. I mean, he's up there. I mean, that's too much plane for him, and a normal pilot wouldn't even consider flying that plane in like fog or in haze or at night.
That's what they all said, yeah.
You know, Charles Lindbergh, I don't think would fly. Maybe Eddie Borges. Eddie Borges probably would have, but not
Tommy
Charles.
Borges.
Eddie Borges.
Yeah. It's so ponderous, so boring. 5670560, pound 560 on the 18th. See, I actually expected those first couple hours this morning that we would really keep this up for 4 hours and people are really just jumping through the phone, jumping with excitement. But then I remember this is Miami, you know. And all of a sudden that lunch, great lunch from Chuck, by the way, over at the Sub Center, but it's starting to, you know, make some very serious progress. And my body doesn't realize it's only like 1:23. Not time yet, okay? Just calm down, please. It's not time yet. And besides, Jason didn't bring in his brownie camera today. You know, where else could you possibly work? Seriously, I was thinking about that over the weekend. Where could you possibly work? What radio station? What factory? What shoe shine joint? Where in the world could you possibly work where one of your coworkers would bring you in a Polaroid snapshot of one of his turds in the toilet? And it would be shaped like a J.
Oh!
J. Just think about that a while, okay? I mean, I've been around the block a few times. I've worked in a lot of places with a lot of people, nice people, bad people, strange people, very normal, boring people. And, of course, I sure hope that Jason's mom isn't listening because it would be real embarrassing for her to find out that her son is taking pictures of his poop. How do you like that? And passing them around for everybody to see. Here's a mobile in Tamarack. Hello. Mobile in Tamarack.
Hello, Neil.
Yes, sir.
You done it again, baby. Young man, 38-year-old dies, wonderful family, done some great things and some bad things, but a 38-year-old man,
great things.
and you rip him.
And what did he do
Rip
great?
him, make a mockery.
What did
you
he
make
do
a mockery out of his death. You're a scumbag.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, did some wonderful things. And of course, when I started asking, wonderful family of philanderers. And when I just asked him a very simple question very quietly, what did he do that was wonderful? You're right, yeah. I've done it again. Yes, sir, I have done it again. I've told it exactly the way it is. But thanks for your very phony, your very fake, rabble-rousing call, okay, jackass? That guy, you know, this is over and over and over with him. Get the same search party they're using to try to find the bodies in a plane up there. Get them and see if they can't find you alive, okay, sir? You're terminal. Mobile in West Palm. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
He will be Times Man of the Year. Write it down now.
No, he won't.
Guaranteed. They love him. They suck it up like the Hoover.
No, he won't.
I'm telling you, I'll call you back when he makes it.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Okay, call me January 3 if your phone's working. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. I'm telling you right now, he will not be Times Man of the Year. In addition to which, their Man of the Year, isn't this going to be the Millennium thing that they're having the big brouhaha about? Yeah, that's the thing that they're having a big psychotic thing about. Is it going to be Hitler? Is it going to be Yitzhak Rabin, which all the Orthodox Jews were writing in 1,000 votes apiece? How about Al Goldstein, huh? No. That was before he became a pussy. Al was right up there. He was right up there with Hitler and those other guys. He was the one Jew we had hoped for, but then all of a sudden, he crapped out. He sold out. Totally sold out, just for a few free plugs for that stupid website of his. But I sure like that apartment in Amsterdam, Al, even though I've never been inside it.
A planet where apes evolved from men.
matter how hard I try. Don't understand why this Y2K such a hot topic today. People storing their soup cans, withdrawing money from their banks. You're such a bunch of silly geeks, acting like paranoid freaks. Oh, do you believe in Y2K? Y2K, Y2K, Y2K. I feel something inside me say, there's really no need to hide and pray, no. Do you believe in Y2K? Y2K, Y2K, Y2K. I feel something inside me say, there's really no need to hide and pray, no.
This show that covers Time, Newsweek, U.S. News. He's already going to be on this coming week's editions of every goddamn news magazine, so forget about Man of the Year. And they showed the New Yorkers there. They're carrying on New York. They got flowers. They got balloons outside the residence in New York. See, it seemed to me that we got all of these people, like the guy that called a few calls ago, that had those 3 good years of his life, and the rest of it was a pile of crap. Whole bunch of people from my generation who are living in the past. You can't live in the past, okay? And Camelot was just bullcrap. It was just garbage. It was swill. It was make-believe. It was caca. It was the greatest example in history of what you see is not what you get. So if you want to live your life just wallowing in the past from like 36 years ago to 40 years ago, that's like so many people we got in this town who are wallowing in the past, the crap that happened 40 years ago. The ones that are going and can't move on and get a frickin' life. Same thing. Here's a call in Davie. Hello.
Uncle Neil?
Yes, sir.
Hi. Before I ask you my question, just want to suck your ass for a second and tell you that you rule and I worship you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, here's my serious question. How the hell is Ron Jeremy not dead of AIDS or some other kind of STD?
Luck.
Exactly. But
Blind luck.
isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
And if he died, I think he should get 24-hour coverage instead of JFK Jr.
Right. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Maybe
Thanks,
Peter North.
Peter North. Tom Byron.
Tom, not anymore.
Okay.
See ya. 5670560, Rocco Ziffaretti, whatever the hell is this, Ziffarelli? That's one thing about all those porn actors. I should ask Al about that. They got, 15 different names. But it still looks the same. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. But there's only one Peter North. And it never changes direction. You notice that? Here's Miami. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to comment on that guy who called a couple of calls ago and called you a scumbag and all that crap.
Yeah.
I finally figured out why people call and say that you're the Antichrist and all that crap, because they can't stand opinionated people.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot stand people
Well, they can't stand the truth.
They can't handle the truth. And I just like to say that, you do a good job, and so does George, and I always listen to you guys every day.
Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot. Arrivederci. That was a contrived call anyway. That guy is so fake with a staged, you've done it again. It's like, in fact, he may be the same guy that said, remember when the Eric Clapton thing, you've done it now, you've gone over the edge, this will put you right off the air, you've lost touch with the audience on your insensitivity with this Eric Clapton kid with a baby flying out the window. And that was long afterward, by the way. And I'm not suggesting there was anything funny about somebody dying in a plane crash, but there is something really sick about the media's obsessive fascination and morbid carrying on here about the Kennedys. In particular, this one who left a legacy of nothing, a magazine. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Hank Goldberg show at 2 from Shula Steak 2. 6 o'clock, Donnie B. 6:30, we got the pregame show. Marlins at Fenway and the Red Sox, 7:05. Any interest in that?
No.
Maybe they'll blow another one. They can blow it better than Monica, I'll tell you that. Here's the mobile in Deerfield. Hello.
Hey, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you what, this media thing's driving me crazy. You flip on the TV all weekend and all you see is breaking news. MSNBC and John Gibson and the crowd. They have these remote live setups on the beach there, and all they're looking for is a head to wash up on shore or something like that.
Yeah. They're just
something they can get a good cut on.
Mm-hmm.
And John Gibson's going to go on about this for the next 4 months because It's the newest thing. They're all high-fiving each other.
He is the worst of all of them. John Gibson is the media antichrist.
Oh, he's terrible. He is terrible.
I thank OJ for him.
And Bill Gates sponsoring MSNBC just drives me up the wall. I mean, he's a tutti frutti as it goes there, but you know, I don't appreciate that crap, man. Watching John Gibson sit there talk about now, that's all we're going to hear about is JFK for the next 6-8 months.
Not me. I won't watch it.
I'd like to shoot the TV like Elvis, man.
Okay, pal.
Take it easy.
Get a deck of cards.
Yep.
A little solitaire sounds good.
Oh!
5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Get you a Jennifer Lopez and Britney Spears video and deck of cards, a little solitary action. Never hurt anybody. Nobody ever got any diseases from that. 23 before 2 at 560 WQAM. Speaking of that, by the way, there's a new show in town that opened this weekend at the Drama Center called Naked Boy Singing. That's a must-see.
Boy!
A huge success. I can't tell you how big in L.A. for more than a year and a half. It opened simultaneously off-Broadway in New York as well as in South Florida to rave reviews. Naked Boy Singing is an outrageous new musical review revolving around, well, male nakedness. And if you think that's funny, Booker Bryan just walked in. But don't let that scare you. Beyond the nudity, Naked Boy Singing delivers 15 first-rate original numbers, vibrant choreography, and seriously clever staging. The critics have called it cheeky,
rectum,
lighthearted comedy. It's a great show that'll leave you laughing big time. 8 weekly performances scheduled for Monday and Wednesday through Friday at 8:30 p.m., Saturdays at 8 and 11 p.m., and Sundays at 4 and 8 at the Drama Center in Deerfield Beach, located just west of I-95 in Hillsborough.
You're a bastard.
Listen to the sound of John falling plane, auguring into the sea. You think a multi-millionaire like JFK could afford a better plane. If JFK had more time flying, he would have known a Piper comes a cheap and crappy plane that blows. A gun aimed at my head's about the only way I would go. Now Ted's the only one that's left alive today from what they call the Kennedy curse. If Dorothy Kilgallen was alive, she'd say, cheer up, it's only gonna get worse. Listen to the sound of John falling plane. Butter splatter, oh hey, listen to the sound of John falling plane. Butter splatter.
143 at 560 WQAM. Hey, how about Dorothy Kilgallen? Anybody know how she really died, huh?
No.
What's the inside story there? Her and Jack Ruby and all that stuff?
No.
Nobody knows. How's Marilyn Monroe doing? Here's a lady in Fort Lauderdale. Hello.
Hi. Neil?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, don't complain about no calls. I've been on here for
16 minutes and 54 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Has anyone called to give you the real scoop of what happened, which was reported on Channel 7 just before they went off the air?
No.
Okay, here's what really happened, which lets poor old John off the hook a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Okay, a couple of days before Saturday, which they were to go over for the wedding,
Yeah.
he was talking to his old buddies. Now, don't make me say who they were. I can't remember all these names. So many are you hear so many. He was talking to him, telling him about he's going to fly over for the wedding. And he said, Caroline is insisting that I take her sister. He said, which I don't want to do because I'm going to have to drop her off at one place and then take off again and go on up to Martha's, wherever it is, Martha's Vineyard. And he said, I don't want to do that because he said, I don't want to take off and land twice. And he admitted in talking to his buddy that he did not have instrument training, and he just didn't want to do this at all. And the other thing, it was not planned to take off at that ungodly hour where darkness was taking off, but his wife again insisted on waiting because her sister had to work late. Now, by the time her sister
I guess you won't be working anymore.
by the time her sister
No
got
more
off,
overtime there.
by the time her sister got off work and they battled the traffic to the airport, there they were. Now, I'm sure you saw this guy that they interviewed over and over at the airport.
The
who
pilot,
did
yeah,
not,
he said no way, yeah.
That he said no way.
Mm-hmm.
He said
Too hazy.
that
Purple haze.
he said that John came in, and then a little bit later, his wife arrived in another car,
Mm-hmm.
and he said they stood out there talking for a long time, and he said, I just wondered if they were discussing whether it was wise to take off.
I heard that Ted volunteered to come down and pick him up and drive him up there, and they said, no, we'll take our chances with the plane.
Well, here's the lesson to be learned. If you guys
Yeah.
who are married and you're going to let a wife who insists on doing it her way, it will kill you.
We'll bring you flowers, that's right.
It can kill you.
Okay, sweetheart.
Isn't that something?
Don't get in the car with Ted.
And said he didn't want to take off at that
Right.
hour. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
We'll be all right. We'll survive. 146 at 560 WQAM, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. They're analyzing. They're turning it upside down, backwards. My favorite over the weekend was when they would bring somebody on that just out of desperation to kill some time. And, well, weren't you, who's that Putz? Oh, there's so many of them. The one that used to be real tight with the Clintons. I can't think of what the hell his name is. Oh, no, it's the guy from the, Richard Brill, from Brill's Content, the one that wrote the hospital article and started a harmonica business and then turned around and apologized. That Putz. Well, didn't you know, no. Well, didn't you meet him? No. Didn't you once interview him? No. Then what the hell are you doing here? Yeah. That's really, you got the feeling they wanted to say, what the hell are you doing here? And he said,
I don't know.
Yeah. You asked me, man. Here's Deerfield Beach. Hello.
Hey, Neil, how you doing?
Okay, sir.
Hey, does this mean that we're going to have to see the pillbox ad again?
Well, I sure hope not.
That's what I mean. That's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whoosh. Yeah, I was up in Kingston this past weekend.
Yeah.
And weather was great.
Yeah.
People were great.
And
I didn't crash.
Okay, congratulations to you. Okay.
Yeah, man.
But you sure are still boring. Okay, 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Wow. Here's a mobile in Boca. Hello. Mobile in Boca with a radio turned way up loud. Going once. Hello.
Uncle Neil.
Yes, sir.
How are you hanging?
Okay.
All right, just had a comment here for all these people calling the Kennedys the greatest family. We forget about the Baldwins.
Yeah, good point.
All right, take it easy.
Thank you. How about the Ricardos? 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's a mobile in Sunrise. Hello.
Neil, God.
Yes, sir.
Listen,
How about
my
the
wife
Buddies?
said, if that were you or I, would they be looking for us like that? And I said, no. Anyway, my wife had never heard your program. We took the kids to the beach on Friday,
Yeah.
and we were listening the whole time you were there, and you read this piece from the Toronto Star about bowel movements.
Mm-hmm.
What date was that newspaper?
July the 9th. Got it in front of me right here. Toronto Star.
July, good. And
The
I can go
scoop
get
on
it. Because
poop.
I tried looking it up on the internet, and I couldn't find it. And can I call somebody a douchebag?
Yes, sir.
Eric Sidaro, you're a flaming...
Okay, thank you. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Here's Miami. Hello. Okay, good. Good. There you go. We can call up all the networks right now. Okay, we found him. We found him. 5670560, pound 560 on the AT&T wireless line. Oh, leave it to us. Leave it to this show to sift through all the bull crap, okay?